Hello, good morning, and welcome to another day, a brand new day, of course, in the year of our Lord. Today is the 14th day of November 2023. By His grace, by His mercies, we are getting closer to the end of another beautiful year. We've not ended yet, so if you have not achieved your target for the year, don't worry. Keep working hard and making sure that you achieve some of them, if not all, because we still have some days in 2023. It still can be a beautiful year, no matter how rough it has been. Welcome to the show again. Now, our show will begin with the news at 6, and then we'll bring you the news review, where former president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Afel Money, will be our guest today as we delve into what the papers will be reporting. After that, we'll bring you later from the water sport with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Now, at 7:35, we'll bring you the big stories. You know what? The Finance Minister, Ken Oforiatta, will on Wednesday present the 2024 budget statement and economic policy of the government. He'll be doing this in Parliament. This presentation will aim to outline the government strategies for revenue generation and policies to alleviate the current economic challenges faced by all of us. Now, also, Parliament has beaten a U-turn after intense public backlash over a decision to hold a post-budget workshop at the Rock City Hotel in Kwahu. MPs were set to travel and stay at Rock City for 3 days for the workshop, but NDC MP for Buem constituency, Kofi Adams, raised the issue on the floor, fighting the decision because of the cost implications. We here at Joy News did some sort of computation, and we chose the minimal expenditure in terms of accommodation alone, and it was running us over 2 million Ghana cedis. We'll discuss these issues with Alhassan Suhuniyi, who is MP for Tamale North, and Eko Asifwa is MP for Old Tafo. You might want to join us with your thought on this matter, because it's a matter that concerns you and myself. And then, of course, would tell you more about the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Today, we'll engage sponsors, HDG Homes and DBS, to tell us more about what will be happening at the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. You have to be there. Then, from 9:35 a.m. to 9:55 a.m., would let you have your say. You would probably want to ask, how can you own a home? Of course, we'll tell you how you can own a home when you attend the EcoBank Habitat Fair, coming off from the 23rd to the 26th of November 2023. Mark it on your calendar and make it a point to be there. So that's how the show will be, the show built with you in mind. So join us with your thoughts on our social media platforms, on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever. Join us and let's talk about Ghana. This is how it's going to be, and I'm grateful that you've made us a part of your morning. On behalf of the team, I say welcome, good morning. Up next is AM News. Let's do AM News now. And management of Electrochem Ghana Limited, a salt mining firm operating in the Ada Songo Lagoon, has denied any involvement in the death of a 47-year-old Colette Womeno. On Monday, November 6, 2023, resident of Toflokpo and some staff of Electrochem Ghana Limited allegedly clashed over salt mining concessions in the Songo mining site in the Adan West district of the Greater Accra region, leading to the death of one person. While residents blamed the death on some personnel of the company, management of Electrochem Ghana Limited maintains it had no hand in the death. Carlos Caloni has more in the following report.
On Monday, November 6, 2023, some resident of Tufulukbo, a salt mining community in the Adan West district of the Greater Accra region, clashed with some staff of Electrochem Ghana Limited over mining concession, leading to the death of a 47-year-old Colette Womeno. Residents blame his death on the police and thugs they believed were hired by the Electrochem Company Limited.
When I'm laying the trapoli, when they come to take the trapoli away. When we say no.
Who are those who came for the tarpaulin?
Those are the land guards and the police.
And how do you ascertain these people are coming from Electrochem?
And the Electrochem people, they didn't wear uniform. So the police people wear uniform. So we identified them that they are police people. But they guide the Electrochem people.
But reacting to these claims, Chief Operating Officer of Electrochem Ghana Limited, Bernard Tete, debunked that assertion.
So on the 6th of November, our team, which was made up of some engineers, drivers and operators, internal security, and then police, went to the areas around Toflopo as part of our normal operations to go and clear the ground and also proceed with the construction of brine reservoirs. The purpose for the going is that Toflopo is one community where we have already constructed community ponds for the community. We do not have commercial ponds even yet. As a company, our first priority is that wherever we go that we think we can do salt, we first create community ponds for the communities before later on we think of doing commercial ponds even for ourselves. So as we speak right now, Toflopo has about 10 community ponds. Now, the lagoon, we have restored it. We've been able to put in brine. But how do you get a brine to move from the lagoon into the community ponds at Toflopo? You need to construct what we call reservoirs. Now, we had given prior notice to the community that we'll be coming in there to create reservoirs so that we can supply your own community ponds, which we've created free of charge with brine. And so the tarpaulin materials and the people who are there, if they can clear the way so that we can go ahead to work with excavators and dozers to create reservoirs for them. 2 weeks down the line, we went there and we saw that the materials were still on the ground. So with our internal security and also the police, we went in there to clear the ground for the tarpaulin material so that we can go ahead to construct these reservoirs for the benefits of that same community. Unfortunately, though, we were met with violence and attack and retaliation or attack from the community. They began to throw stones and various objects at our people, the security and also the police. So when it became a bit agitated, we had to pull back our team from the field, and we brought them to the site. So when they came to the site, that was when we saw that there was smoking in the area that we left. We flew the drone and saw that 4 of our machines, 2 excavators, 1 dozer, 1 compactor, were burning. And you ask yourself, I mean, what crime have we committed? And our whole crime is that construction that we are seeking to do to supply brine to the same community to do salt. That is a crime that we've committed. However, we must be clear that the security that went there, the police that went there in our name, nobody fired any gunshot, not even a warning shot.
In a twist of events, some Electrochem staff, on the other hand, accused the residents of rather assaulting them and making threats on their lives.
And after the incident, there was a rumors and a call coming from our town, a threat that they will kill us, we those working at Electrochem, and we are from the neighboring community around the Songo Lagoon. We are the next target to be killed. And this caused fear and panic in us. And up to date, we didn't go home.
While the residents want Electrochem Ghana Limited to limit its operations to the original Songo concession, the COO of Electrochem Ghana Limited, Bernard Tete, said that is not feasible.
It's impossible to forgo Lagoon and then say that you operate in where Old Songo used to operate, in that 1,000-acre concession, because to produce proper salt, you need brine from the sea to travel a certain distance. And that's the only way in which you get to drop the impurities, the magnesium salt, sulfate salts that you do not need. They drop along the way so that by the time it gets to where they are crystallizing, you have pure sodium chloride. So to say that we should leave the lagoon and then stick to only where salt crystallizes, I find it a bit difficult. I struggle to swallow that.
The Tema Regional Police Command is, however, investigating the death of the 47-year-old Quality Wemeno, as the family of the deceased demands justice within 14 days. Carlos Galoni.
Now, 3 days after two brothers were allegedly shot and killed by a Forestry Commission task force at a community mining site in Infante, the divisional office of the commission in the area remains shut. The youth of Pokukrom in the Hafuano Southeast District and the family of the deceased are asking for justice. Emmanuel Bright Kweku, who visited the area, reports residents of Infante fear the task force would return.
A saddened mother, a sister left in excruciating pain. Wails continue to emanate from the home of Abdul Samed Razak, 35, and Hashmil Usman, 25, after the two were allegedly shot dead by security task force of the Forestry Commission at a mining site. The family is in pain. You've killed a human like animal. The two were protecting in the Hafuano North municipality when a security task force besieged them in a swoop. So we understand this is the very spot one of the deceased was laid when he was shot by the security task force right here at Infante. As you can see behind me, that's some equipment that were bent by the security task force when they came here. I haven't really cited much of operations happening, but the few people we found around tell us today there haven't been any working by the miners. The forestry officer drew a line on the ground that we shouldn't cross, but one of the deceased did not heed and went ahead to cross it. That's when they started shooting him. So they surrounded him and hit his neck with the backstock of their gun. The other was shot from behind through his skull. Some miners at the site sustained various injuries, with 4 critically wounded. In 2021, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources commissioned a community mining scheme to be operated by the Enso group of companies. So this is the junction leading to the two mining sites. On my left is a route to the Enso group of companies mining site under the Infante community mining scheme. And this is also another route leading to where the incident happened. The miners, however, claim both sites are under the community mining scheme. But there are fears of a possible return of the task force to comb the community.
Because gunshots, straight from site or more incident happen or site or from site straight to.
We are scared because they might come back. Back at Pokukrom, there is seeming tension as families of the deceased and the youth threaten to avenge the killing.
Justice. For this time.
After burying them, we demand justice within 4 days. If it doesn't happen soon, we will retaliate. He left behind 5 children. Who is going to take care of them? If the laws are working, it must work for us too. Else, Forestry Commission officers will not operate in this constituency.
Tension is mounting at the Tamale Central Market between the traders and the Tamale Municipal Assembly over the sale of a parcel of land in the market. Joy News understands the land has been sold to a private developer, but the women say they have occupied that space for decades and will not vacate. The traders locked up the main gate leading to the market to protest the sale of the land.
Activities at the Tamale main market grounded to a halt this morning as the women left their trading and massed up at the Tamale Circuit Court. The traders had been allegedly summoned by the court to appear before it. They had been accused of pulling down construction works on a piece of land under contention between the assembly and the traders. Speaking to Joy News, chairman of the Market Women Association, Alhassan Ziblim, said as at 11 o'clock, their case had not been called yet. He said over 100 women will be affected.
We were there in the market when assembly came. They were building a structure where we can't get access to pass in again. Even a tender can go in when there is fire outbreak. So it's better than you people must go there and find out to see how things it is. And then assemble issue that they give us a court warrant that we should come here. That's why we are here.
How many women are we talking about who have been affected?
Plenty. It's almost more than 100 plus. And they are going to give it to 2 people to build. 2 and then more than 100 plus. Who is better?
Some of the women who spoke to Joy News at the court premise said they had occupied the land several decades and would not find a place to relocate, whilst others said they had taken loans and would not be able to pay if they are evicted.
My brother was sitting there before getting married, and now I'm getting to 40 years today, and we are just sacking my mother, and I just like that. What kind of life is this? It's very painful. We are more than 100 people over there, and one particular person is going to take all over the place. Everybody is standing there watching us. Even the government is watching us.
Now we know that when we are sacking somebody, you give her sitting place to sit. They didn't give us sitting place to sit. So we are begging. We are begging. We don't have anybody. When we are sitting there, we collected loans. It's not our money. We don't have single one city to do the business. They are giving us credit, and we collected loan. Now, when you say we should get up there, where are we going to sit?
My problem is when there is a fire outbreak, it will be very difficult for firefighters to get their way in. And also, we are those in the markets. We have to carry our goods inside. Now we use yellow and motokia. There's no space. Even when we are working, we are human beings. We are very choked. And we are there with our mothers, and they are going to, vacate a lot of people, giving it to 2 people.
At the main market, the women waited outside, locking up the main gates into the market in solidarity with their colleagues.
From the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly now, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has underscored the importance of collective responsibility by the various stakeholders in the agri-food chain in order to build resilient food systems in the country. Deputy Minister Yao Frimpong Ado says Ghana's food system currently does not adequately prioritize safety, fairness, sustainability, and health, and thus requires significant transformation. He was addressing participants at the 6th annual conference of the Ghana Association of Agricultural Economists. There is more in this report.
Mr. Adu noted that building resilient food systems require sustainable action throughout the agricultural value chain. He indicated that ensuring the health and well-being of all Ghanaians depended on access to safe, nourishing and affordable diet to address poverty and malnutrition.
We recognize that ensuring the population's health and well-being depends on access to safe, that addressing issues such as hunger, poverty, malnutrition, and illness is closely tied to this access. However, it is evident that current food systems do not adequately prioritize safety, fairness, sustainability, and health, thus requiring a significant transformation. A sustainable food system delivers food security and nutrition for all in such a way that the economic, social, and environmental basis to generate food security and nutrition for future generations are not compromised. Developing resilient and sustainable food systems is crucial for building sustainable economies and livelihoods everywhere.
President of the Ghana Association of Agricultural Economists, Professor Daniel Bruce Sapon, noted how imperative it has become to explore more innovative pathways towards sustainable food systems for job creation.
The youth participation is expanding rapidly, and Africa is grappling with the tasks of creating sustainable jobs for her young people. Sustainable agricultural innovation and entrepreneurship offer a way to enhance livelihoods and improve living conditions, especially in rural areas where agriculture plays a crucial role. Our esteemed panelists are well positioned to delve into these topics and share their insights, lessons learned, and future perspectives.
Provost of the College of Health and Allied Sciences at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Martin Ekor, called for close collaboration between the various stakeholders in the agri-food chain.
Issue of food security also border on national security. A hungry man, they say, is an angry man. And so if we do not do everything possible to attain these sustainable food systems, it definitely will compromise, in fact, we have a role to play. Government also has a role to play. And there's one thing that the president of the association mentioned. He talked about the issue of galamsey and the destruction of farmlands. And this is where we are seriously relying on the government to ensure that this problem is tackled headlong and the problem is solved. I do not think it is beyond the capability of the government of the day.
The 6th annual conference of the Ghana Association of Agricultural Economists rallies support from various stakeholders for sustainable agriculture to safeguard national food security. Now, Agreement Officer at USAID, Paul Napari, has urged chiefs and parents to demand accountability from managers of educational institutions in their localities. He says when that is done, it will give a better outcome for education in their respective areas, as teachers will no longer take decisions that will be affront to the education of their children. Mr. Napari made a statement at the regional launch of the USAID in Ghana Strengthening Accountability in Education Systems, SAGES project in WA. Rafiq Salam reports from WA.
Strengthening accountability in Ghana Education Service, SAGES activity has been carefully designed to support the government of Ghana, particularly the Ministry of Education and its agencies, in delivering the education accountability framework across the country. The initiative is being implemented in 17 districts in 4 regions in the Northern Gulf of the country. Executive Secretary of Community Development Alliance, Salaf Isufu Kanton, whose outfit are the local implementers of the project, says the ball rolling for the Upper West Region's launch of the project.
If you read the accountability framework document, it essentially looks at what is it that the Minister of Education is supposed to do? What is it that the Director General of Ghana Education Service is supposed to do? And how should he be helped to do it? What are the regional directors of education supposed to do? How should they do it? What are the district directors of education supposed to do? How can we get them to do it? What are the school support improvement officers supposed to do? And how can we support them to do it? And when we employ teachers and send them to school, what are they supposed to do? And how can we get them to do it? So SAGES is going to ensure that we provide direct support, working with all these 17 districts within the USAID zone of influence to be able to improve or institutionalize accountability so that we can begin to see improved learning outcomes for our children.
Agreement Officer Representative for USAID, Paul Napari, disclosed that the SAGE's activity is a 5-year project funded by USAID at an amount of $60 million.
Community members, you must demand accountability. Don't just sit down. It is because of you the teachers are in that community teaching. If you were not there, the district director didn't have a job, the head teacher didn't have a job, the teacher didn't have a job. So parents, led by our chiefs, rise up, let us rise up. Thank God, I've had a good job that some of you are already doing. Comprehensively, let us rise up and demand accountability.
Director, Tertiary Education had the Minister of Education, Nana Bafoiwa, opined that the SAGE's activity signifies the country's resolve to create an education system that holds managers of education accountable.
We are not only launching the SAGE's activity, we are also embarking on a journey of transformation. A journey that holds the promise of enhancing the quality of education, expanding access to learning opportunities, and most importantly, ensuring accountability in our education system.
Now, Vice Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor Lydia Aziato, has asserted that the exodus of health professionals would impede effort towards attaining Sustainable Development Goal 3, that's universal health coverage. She wants stakeholders to design modules to lessen the migration of health professionals. She was speaking at the opening ceremony of the 4th Annual Nursing and Midwifery Leaders and Managers Conference and the 3rd Excellence Awards in the Volta Regional Capital of Ho.
The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association reported that about 4,000 nurses migrated from Ghana in search of well-paid jobs in 2022. This was fueled by Western countries recruiting nurses, leading to Ghana losing a significant number of health workers. Addressing the 4th Annual Nursing and Midwifery Leaders and Managers Conference in Ho, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor Lydia Aziato, lamented the development.
I'm also attracted to universal health coverage. Before we started, I came earlier, so I was engaging some of you, and I asked some of you whether you have nurse specialists in your facilities. The answer was no. Somebody said we had one who went to school, but the person has migrated. So I was asking myself, how would the institution now have the confidence to sponsor or allow another person to go if the first person did not come back? The important people are here for me. And the question I want you to discuss at the end will be recommendations not to stop migration, but to moderate it such that we can have experienced, qualified, dedicated nurses and midwives caring for me when I become sick one day, because I don't know where I will need the service, okay?
The country representative for the United Nations Fund for Population Activities, Dr. Wilfred Okan, admonished leaders in the health sector to adopt best practices towards achieving transformational change.
The 4th and last part, I see nurses and midwives freely associate under professional association, or are registered as members with active association branches. There's one united association with one unequivocal voice of representation. The leadership and members are united to advance the interests of the association, including professional development of the members, advancing the welfare of members and better services for the target population.
The Chief Director of the Ministry of Health, Alhaji Hafiz Adam, called for unity in the country's health workforce.
As a ministry, it will not augur well with us if we continue to see a divided 60% cadre of the health workforce. It will affect quality care, no doubt about that. Our ministry, through the Office of the Nursing and Midwifery, is therefore mandated to provide oversight, responsibility, coordination of policy, planning, monitoring, and evaluation of all health sectors.
The conference would provide a platform for the discussion of several policies and programs aimed at enhancing healthcare delivery in the country. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News. Ho.
And on that note, we wrap up today's edition of the AM News. There's more news on majoronline.com. Up next is the news review here on the show. Please stay. All right, so welcome back to the AM show. Time for us to go into what the papers are reporting this morning. I have the Daily Guide, the Daily Graphic newspaper with me. I have the Daily Guide. I have the Finder newspaper, the Economy Times, and the Ghanaian Times. And guess what? Today, I have with me in the studio former president of our association, the Ghana Journalists Association, Mr. Afil Moni. Good morning, sir. But you're today. Okay. Okay. It's good that share up on the I'm obeying who the son and yet brofun. Yes, if not, it's no more the Yaka. All right, so let's begin with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Now, on the front page, it says capping of IGF undermines operations, birth and death registry. It comes with a picture of the acting registrar of the registry, Henrietta Lamptey. 2024 budget to boost growth, expenditure rationalism key. And also from theory to reality, innovation unlocks potential in countries' youth. So these are the stories there, but let's turn into the details here. It says tomorrow's budget and economic policy will articulate the government's commitment to fiscal discipline, spell out support for the private sector, and implement growth-focused economic policies. Also, it will spell out expenditure rationalization measures, efforts to reduce inflation, further stabilize the cedi, and address private sector concerns to boost investment, jobs, and growth. Quote, these policy measures are signals of the government's dedication to building on and sustaining the current growth momentum. Sources familiar with the budget told the Daily Graphic. Okay, now quote again, one of the significant revelations in the budget is expected to be the imminent crossing of the country's gross domestic product over a historic mark that will be specified in the budget. Oh, okay, the sources further hinted. Well, anyway, what's your expectation of tomorrow's budget?
I've been monitoring the agitations by workers' representatives, organized labor, and Ghana Medical Association. But first, let me state that experts expect the finance minister or the budget to mimic the dictates of the IMF. You know, as we know, our economy is still on the ropes, and IMF has come to our rescue. So they are calling the shot as far as the economic management is concerned. So nothing much is expected except to ensure that our economy maintains the trajectory of growth. And after taxes, we need money. But again, the business committee is warning against further
new taxes,
new taxes, which will further imperil their businesses and other. So let's hope and pray that within the constraints in which we find ourselves, the finance minister will come out with the best of policy statement, economic policy statement, which will address practically our economic circumstances and also ensure that we do not commit the economic sins which characterize every election year. Last year is election, and we all know that
government might spend more than it should.
Yes, we should rule out the possibility of introducing some vote-catching project, and this will also impact negatively on our economic circumstances. So let's pray that the best of this country will take into, the supreme interest of this nation will take into consideration in the presentation of the 2024 budget. But on the agitations for
increased salaries. Because the argument is that inflation has wiped out a huge percentage of earnings.
Certainly, yes. Certainly, yes. And organized labor started from 60% demand in salary increments, and here the figure is now hovering around 15%. Government says you can only offer 15%. So they are meeting today to iron out their differences and then come up with the figure which will be acceptable to both sides. On the issue of the Ghana Medical Association, I listened to their president so well yesterday, and let me say that there's a proverb, local proverb, which holds that no one wields a stick and force a victim to dog bite. If we look at this issue of medical care, it sounds so unthinkable that doctors do not have free access to medical care. Medical workers do not have free access, and they have to carve money
to do that,
to take care of their own medical needs. This is unthinkable. This is unacceptable.
It should be one of the conditions of
it is a travesty of fairness that the people who are custodians of our health care should be subjected to this unfairness. I believe this is a low-hanging fruit, and authorities should, with urgent promptitude, address this and ensure that every health worker accesses free medical care. As for other demands like retire on their salaries and all that, I know it will cause a deep dent on the economy. So whilst we support organized labor to demand what is due them, at the same time we'll urge them to square their demands with the logic of reality. And the reality is that our economy is still on the ropes. Our economy is here to recover fully in terms of its health. So the two sides should be realistic in demanding and then accepting whatever will come from both sides.
Okay. Now on page 13 of the paper, and the story is written by Nana Kunadu about the capping of IGF, undermining operations of the Birth and Death Registry. It says the Birth and Death Registry has described the retention of 33% of its internally generated funds as a major financial constraint undermining its operations across the country. Now this is like all government entities that generate IGF are going through this. Really, how do we deal with it? Because these guys are complaining that when you take out this chunk of our IGF, it doesn't help us to be efficient, to implement the things that would make us, do better. How do we tackle it?
Laws or rules or regulations are made for man, and such regulations or laws and rules are not set in stone, cast in stone. So I believe there should be some wiggle room for such institutions to have access to whatever they generate and use such monies to attend to the urgent needs and to oil the wheels of the operations. So I believe this should not pose any difficulty on both sides. By negotiations, we can overcome this issue.
Because a lot of people have been, a lot of organizations have been speaking up on this.
A lot of organizations.
Assemblies. All calling for the decapping. Yes. NHRS, when the discussion about the dialysis came up, then the capping issue also came up. So, but the minister is going to present the budget, is there something you want to hear on this decapping in the 2024 budget statement?
But I don't know about the timing. I don't know whether by now I believe the budget statement is ready. I believe there are some issues which can be tackled at the 11th hour. So I don't know how this will be addressed in the budget. So let's say, but it's not too late to, this is long-hanging fruit, it's not too late to attend to such issues. And they will urge authorities, to around this time, look at what can be done to ensure that there's harmony at the workplace and operations are not hampered by such obstacles like capping, IGF, and the use of such money.
Okay, all right. Let's turn our attention to the Ghanaian Times newspaper now, and on page 11, it says, "We'll deal with spillage crisis, President assures." The story says the President says government is developing a comprehensive plan that will deal with the challenges of water spillage once and for all. He explained that the plan being put together by the Interministerial Committee would ensure that any future spillage would not result in the destruction of lives and property. I don't know, but we know how interministerial committees work. Over the years, we've seen a lot put together. They come out with a report, but there's issue with implementation. Do you have any sort of faith that indeed this one would work?
I like the emphasis on faith, and that we all know it's an open secret that the victims are still reeling under the devastating impact of the disaster of unprecedented proportions. And we commend the President for making such a weighty statement. But at the same time, we will emphasize the fact that time is of essence. Some communities have had their schools reopened, and I was listening to one community leader this morning. School children, even basic things like school uniforms were all lost through the disaster. So we will urge His Excellency the President to act with urgent promptitude to address the pressing needs of the victims. We commend the government for setting up the Interministerial Committee, but we pray that unnecessary bureaucracy will not shackle their operations, and then everything should be done with the speed of time to address the needs of the victims.
And that their recommendations will indeed be implemented, because that's the issue with committees in this country.
Exactly.
They come up with recommendations, but then there's, I mean, you know, there was flooding in this capital. The President set up a committee to look at how we can end it, but what has happened to it? So,
and the Secretary Minister also promised the quantum of cash to be invested in addressing the flooding situation once and for all. And the rains will pour in torrents, and the effectiveness or otherwise of such policies will be exposed. So, and the media also have a responsibility to ensure that what the President describes are comprehensive.
It's really comprehensive.
Yes, really comprehensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in comprehensive, what are you looking at? Well, you are not an expert anyway, but from your layman's point of view, what would make you believe that this is really comprehensive in terms of tackling that water?
We all know that the script has flipped in terms of global weather pattern. So global climate change is a reality. And we'll be swimming against the tide if we fail to address the issues of climate change. So I'm happy that the comprehensive program is looking at the long-term solution to the problem. And the fact is that the rains will continue to pour in torrents. The flooding will result because of the torrential rains. So the comprehensive of the program should take into consideration the climate change factor, and then the price for people living in low areas, if need be, can be relocated.
Okay.
Not to suffer the perennial effect of flooding.
I have interest in this story on page 12 of the paper, that's the Ghanaian Times. It says, no mining right granted for prospecting mining in Kakum National Park. Minerals Commission CEO denies. I'm sure you followed this story over the weekend.
Yes, this is one of the most positive stories I've ever heard. And you hear that there's a law which says mining or prospecting for mining can happen in any of the forest reserves. And we know the environmental plunder of our forest reserves, the free for all, the recklessness with which people enter our forests and then desecrate large areas, and then nothing happens to them depending on their political connections. And so my heart was gladdened when news came out yesterday that Kakum National Park is a no-go area for mining. And we know the importance of Kakum National Park as far as tourism is concerned. It's a money-spinning venture industry in that area. And we've been mining for more than a century now.
So many years.
So many years, 100 years plus, and we all know, can attest to the fact that the impacts of mining to the economy is negligible, to say the least. And I believe if you are to calculate the negative effect, it will far outweigh whatever we gain from mining. So we kudos to the Minerals Commission for stamping to authority and declaring that Kakum National Park is a no-go area.
So you mean to say that their contribution to the economy is major, but the negative impact of mining far outweighs the percentage that we do get.
Look at our water bodies. And communities, many communities have been sentenced to life-threatening diseases, all because of mining. And so this tells you, if we weigh the negative against the positive, and the best emphasizing that the negative far outweighs the positive.
Okay. Well, let me be a bit partial here. Now, there's a story in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Okay, I think this is, the page they directed me to it. I can find it there. But a story by one of the professors of UCC, Professor Dennis Aheto, about establishing authority for blue economy.
Blue economy, yes. I suppose it's on blue economy, yes.
He is someone with specialty in the Marines area, and I'm sure his target. I wanted to really get the story so that we can look at it. But what do you make of this proposal, that we should look at an authority for blue economy?
As a nation, to put it bluntly, we are not serious about the blue economy.
Okay.
And our fishers these days catch more rubbish, more waste than fish, because of the vandalization of our ocean resources. And the blue economy holds the key to global trade. We are told that 80% of global trade is executed through the blue economy. And 3 billion out of the 7 billion global population also depends on the blue economy, depend on the blue economy for their livelihoods. But in the past, and in terms of energy, clean energy, and blue economy has a potential to produce 18 times more of our global energy needs. 18 times more of the blue economy.
Wow.
Yeah. So whilst we are struggling with gas from Nigeria, whilst we are struggling with Sodom, so this is long-hanging fruit, something we can harness to solve our energy needs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so for those of you who probably may be asking what is blue economy, it's also known as the ocean economy. And it's a term used to describe the economic activities associated with the oceans and the seas. So like Zafel was explaining, I mean, so that world economy is 80 billion or so. It means that we use the sea to transport some of these.
80% of global trade.
So that's the Professor Dennis Aheto. He's a professor of coastal ecology and interdisciplinary ocean studies at the University of Cape Coast, Professor Dennis Aheto. So good morning to him. Anyway, to the Daily Guide newspaper now, and on the front page, Baumia rallies Akoto Adai Nimo for 2024. We also have Minerals Commission rejects Kakum Park mining proposal. NHRS initiates open policy on claims payments. Okay, so on the Baumia story, it says Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Baumia, the newly elected leader of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, has reached out to his former rivals, Dr. Owusu Afriyie-Akoto and Francis Adai-Nemo, who were defeated in the party's presidential primaries held on November 4, 2023. Dr. Akoto, who is also the former Minister of Agriculture, expressed his satisfaction with Dr. Bawumia's gesture, highlighting the importance of unity and consultation as the MPP prepares for the upcoming 2024 elections. Any thought?
The race be a two-horse one between His Excellency Alhaji
Dr.
Bawumia and former President John Dramani Mahama. And on paper, we have about 26 registered political parties. But the reality is that ours is a two-party state, NDC, MPP, and in every election they garner more than 50% of the vote. So this makes their race titanic anytime it occurs. So Dr. NDC will be laughing at the wrong side of their mouth if they should underrate Alhaji Bawumia in the election.
But the way the economy is, and
because of the effectiveness of the MPP machinery. And as I said, 40% is guaranteed for both sides. So
they have to scramble for the
20.
For the 20, so like 20, 10% of it plus
exactly. So this makes it dicey for both sides. But at the same time, Alhaji Bawumia knows that breaking the 8-year cycle of political power will be a tall mountain to climb. So he needs everybody on board, and he's taking the right steps. Earlier he was at Ken
Japon's home.
He reconciled. Ken, as we understand, is fully on board. The Bawumia.
It's not on paper, on facial value, because really, if you look at Ken and his sentiment prior to the primaries, the sort of following he has, I mean, we can really, the true sense of the word, come on board to say I want to support a Bawumia presidency?
There's an air of unpredictability around Ken. Ken is Ken. He has a different style of politicking, and you can expect him to go ballistic whenever any issue crosses him, anything with which he's not comfortable with. So, by the same time, the election has proven that he's a key cog in the MPP machinery. You can't do without Ken. So I believe this also prompted His Excellency the Vice President to reach out to him and see how best they can join forces to fight the NDC in 2024. So everybody is needed on board to execute the agenda to break the 8. And as I said, it's best repeating that it will not be an easy task at all, given the circumstances in which Ghanaians find themselves, the bitingly bitter cost of living crisis, and which is a key factor in deciding at the polls, and all that. But anything can happen.
The MPP needs Ashanti region to win, if they can break the 8. But do you think they can get Ashanti this time? Because I hear there are so many deep-seated anger with the government.
And the alarm factor too is muddying the waters, because Alan draws his strength from the Ashanti region. And many are those who are pledged to follow him, and if they should vote for him, then it will be at the expense of the MPP. But still, it is still within the bounds of possibility for the MPP to overcome whatever hurdle Ashanti region will pose as far as election 2024 is concerned. And they have one year to do their homework. And as I said, the party machine is effective. And I believe to quote His Excellency the President, he will do everything possible to ensure that Alhaji Bawumia succeeds him. But it's one thing saying this, and another thing ensuring that his wishes materialize.
Okay. Now, on page 6, it says Parliament U-turns on budget workshop venue. I'm sure you followed the story where government wanted to do the discussion on the budget in the Rock City in Kohu area. Now, when Joy News took it up and we did an analysis about the costing, Parliament says we're no longer going. Your thought on that?
This is a classic example of effective leadership by Parliament, especially the Speaker, Abong Bagbin. He stamped his authority and he said, no, we are not going to Rock City in view of the financial applications. And yet they're going to cost them as much as 1.7 million cedis.
It was going to cost more.
More.
When we did the calculation, even using the minimal room rate in Rock City, and using just the 275 MPs plus their feeding and all, it was going to cost around 2 million cedis.
Look at that. So this is kudos to Parliament. This is an example of effective leadership, and every good leader should have certain traits. One is that you shouldn't shy to change your mind when confronted with fresh information or relatives which challenge your earlier decision. So yes, they had decided to go to either Rock City or what's that, Serene, and the budget was presented, and what Parliament did at the promptings of Kofi Adams, what they did was to square the budget against the logic of reality, and the reality is that we are still in a crisis. So it will, and before then, social media and other outlets were not charitable at all with Parliament for attempting to spend this colossal amount. At the time, the whole nation is really under economic pressure. So kudos to Parliament. We expect them to always face realities and ensure that the supreme interest of this nation is upheld at all times.
Okay, all right. Now we're wrapping. We need to wrap up. The finder says NHIS initiated open policy on claims payment. Dr. Okoboy, Ghana Water Company Limited connect over 100,000 in pro-poor urban areas since 2019. Kandapa urges MPs to discuss Garu incident with caution, and Poku Edusai seeks to succeed Joe Wise in Bekwai. Which of this would you want to have a bite on? NHIS initiate open policy on claims payment, and Ghana Water connecting over 100,000 in pro-poor urban areas since 2019.
Ghana Water Company, kudos because water is life, and in this day and age, and the development, according to Shumeka, is not measured only by broad streets or skyscrapers, the number of skyscrapers you have, or the number of asphalted roads you have. Access to water is a critical indication of development. So if we are to tout ourselves as developed, then we should make sure that every community has access to clean water. Even though Galamsey is posing a threat to this agenda. So this also underlines the need to fight Galamsey with all ferocity and intensity, and ensure that our water bodies are clean at all times. Okay. And the Garu incident is also begging for prompt action. The police witnessed police brutality, military brutalities under the guise of retrieving arms. Yeah. And the people are up in arms with authorities. So who is National Security Minister, who is a very fine gentleman, who is not a talkative by definition, but a doer by disposition, will ensure that normalcy returns to government. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moni, for coming.
It's a pleasure for coming.
So that's the former GJ President, Afil Moni. This is has been the news review segment. Up next is the sports segment brought to you by Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Stay on. Welcome back from the break. A time for us to go into the big stories. And you know what? Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will on Wednesday present the 2024 budget statement and economic policy of the government. He'll be doing this in Parliament. This presentation aims to outline the government's strategies for revenue generation and policies to alleviate the current economic challenges faced by all of us Ghanaians. Also, Parliament has beating a U-turn after intense public backlash over the decision to hold the post-budget workshop at the Rock City Hotel in Kwahu. MPs were set to travel and stay at Rock City for 3 days for the workshop, but NDC MP for Buem constituency, Kofi Adams, raised the issue on the floor, fighting the decision because of the cost implications. Would also delve into this particular issue. Honorable Hassan Suhuniyi is MP for Tamale North. He is here. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
Hope all is well. Good to see you too.
Alhamdulillah, we can't complain. Under the circumstance, we just have to give God the glory.
Okay.
And keep moving.
Under the current hardship, I mean, circumstances, right now we all know that things
should be specific, not circumstance. Thank you for providing the word hardship. We just have to be hopeful and keep prodding on. It's not easy.
All right. Yeah. We'll also be joined on Zoom by Professor John Gachi. He is Dean of University of Cape Coast School of Business, the only university of competitive choice. I'm sure Al-Hassan would want some program there.
So I'm not going to litigate that now. But you know that it is contestable.
Oh, no, it is not.
Well,
it is not. It's not at all. Anyway, let's start from this note. I asked you a question earlier.
Right.
Why do we have beautiful economic document policies, but we are not able to actualize these policies?
Well, generally, I think it has to do with our character. And that is why you hear many of us, say, and it has been said long before I could even consider myself an adult, that Ghana seems to have all the right laws and legislations and policies, but our problem is always with implementation. And I think it boils down to character. And it is that very poor character and attitude that we take into leadership positions. And because we are unable to manage our attitude well, we tend not to get the full benefits from the, correct policies and laws that we pass as a people. And that is why it is said that the fish starts rotting from its head.
From head?
So if, as a people, generally, we lack character, it shows in the people who emerge as leaders, because those people would have also been part of us. And we, maybe based on our own character, would have chosen those people to lead us. And with that, attitude and leadership, you will have all the nice things on paper, but you will not be able to get the full benefits out of it. I mean, that is the soft side of why we tend to have some of these very good policies intended to transform the country that never really does that magic for us. That's on the soft side.
Okay.
Now, on the hard issues, you can talk about some of the unrealistic projections that we make in our budgets.
Okay.
I mean, for example, what happened to the government's budget when they overestimated how much they were going to get from the
e-levy.
I mean, so some of these things can only be explained away by political expedience.
But people say that one was because of the sort of, propaganda that greeted it, because I'm sure they did the analysis based on the number of people who are using Momo services, and they could tell that we could rake in this much. But there were a lot of education on it to say that if you do government doesn't put all of our resources into the proper use, so don't do it. And that's why they couldn't realize. Isn't that the case?
I mean, it's not true. I mean, you are into communication, and a communication strategy is as good as the content and the acceptability of the content. So people generally were opposed to that tax. Experts cautioned as a result of that opposition, general overwhelming opposition. Because, you see, already tax payment is not a pleasant thing. And so when you have people overwhelmingly disagree with a tax policy, it is only foolhardy for you to persist. We saw it during VAT.
Okay.
That is how Kumepreko was organized. Was that propaganda? The issues that rallied people around to oppose the VAT at the time that they did were as relevant as the issues that rallied people around to oppose the e-levy. If we had a listening government like we had during the days of VAT, they would not have willy-nilly pushed it through with the same assurance that they will still get their projected revenue, even in the midst of the opposition. That, for me, was a hint of the level of disrespect that they have for the ordinary Ghanaian. Because when the people say, we don't like it, and you say, we will still pass it, and the people will still pay, and will still get the revenue that we want. The previous government during VAT didn't do that because they saw that you needed to go along with the people. And that's why I'm saying those are some of the hard issues.
Okay.
Our inability to face reality because of political expediency. And that is also, even witnessed after the budget is passed, and then we go into the year and begin to firefight and deal with things that were originally not planned. The president goes to a community and then out of political expediency cuts short for the construction of a road or a factory that was not budgeted for.
Really?
It happens all the time. And now the finance minister will have to find money, for it. Look at the National Cathedral and what we were told, how much the finance minister, had to cough up to support the National Cathedral. And he says it came from the emergency votes. Can you imagine?
But is there any road like that the president has done that was not in the budget?
Oh, I can't pinpoint one immediately, but usually it happens. I mean, if you follow the political, scene, sometimes these roads, that's the unfortunate thing. Sometimes these roads never even get finished. Out of political expediency, it is announced for construction. A contractor is perhaps given some mobilization, goes to put machines on the road, does some, earth movement here and there. And then when the results are gotten, they are abandoned. We saw it during the by-elections in Kumewu and Asin North.
Okay, let's get to the budget proper.
Right.
What is your expectation, of the budget tomorrow? You are an MP. You see what's really happening firsthand.
Generally, I am expecting government to tighten its belt. I'm expecting to see a budget that shows a government that is sensitive to the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian. One of the ways the government can show that sensitivity is for them to bite the bullet, for them to cut down on some of it's unnecessary expenditure. And when they do so, they will be making savings. And those savings can be applied to more critical areas.
Okay.
Because we all know that the economy is on its knees, if not in coma.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is important that the little revenue that still comes to government, even as we suspend our debt payment, are applied judiciously in especially the productive sectors that can, revamp the economy moving forward.
Okay.
So that we do not waste this holiday period that we have of not paying our debts, only for us to be confronted with the payment at a time that we are not ready. I do not expect to see more taxes.
Okay.
I do not expect to see an increment in the existing taxes. I think the ordinary Ghanaian has endured enough. Apart from the skyrocketing, prices of goods as a result of the unprecedented levels of inflation that many Ghanaians are enduring, they have also had to endure losses as a result of the DDEP. Elsewhere, people would have been on the street every day. We saw it in 2008 in the United States of America when the economy crashed.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, people would have been on the streets every day. But people are quietly counting their losses in their rooms and in their offices because they understand that this is a difficult moment.
Okay.
And they live in hope that our government will also make the right decisions, conduct themselves in a way that will revive the economy in the shortest possible time, even though we are told by experts that not even in the next 10 years will our economy be able to come back to the state that it was in pre-COVID and especially post-COVID.
Really?
But at least, people are still patient. They are enduring the high prices, the inflation, the high unemployment, unprecedented levels. You do not hear, like you used to hear about unemployed graduate association, even though unemployment has moved from about 8% to almost 14%. And yet that should tell you the level of endurance that the ordinary Ghanaian has endured.
But if you talk
has shown.
If you talk about the economy not seeing the growth it had pre-COVID, we understand that 5 months after implementing the IMF program, we've started seeing some truth that GDP growth rebounding strongly, averaging some 3.2% in the first 2 quarters of the year. And this is even contrary to IMF forecast of 1.5% for the end of the year. Doesn't this show that if we do the right things as we're doing today, we'll probably get there in the next 2 or 3 years?
Well, the same IMF has said that it will take us not less than 10 years if we grow.
That's before the implementation, isn't it?
Yes.
That's where they forecasted 1.5, but now we're not realizing 3.2%.
So even that, we'll need to grow our economy more than it is currently growing.
Okay.
For us to even revive the economy in the next 10 years. So the point I'm making here is that, yes, the implementation of and don't forget, government has simply, last year and this year, done nothing. Like nothing. And anybody who operates in the economy will attest to how slow things have been. And so the only things that perhaps they have done is to fund their sometimes expensive lifestyle, which in my view, even if not significant, is offensive you know, to the ordinary Ghanaian that is making sacrifices.
Yeah.
But government has really, you know, not over borrowed or overspent, because they don't even have the capacity to borrow again. So that inaction is perhaps the reason why the system is cooling down, like the figures are showing.
Okay.
But
so you mean they are not spending?
Yes.
That's why we are seeing this.
That's why we are seeing the I mean, where is this growth coming from? You should ask yourself. Where is the growth coming from? It is that answer that will tell you what our government is doing right or wrong. But what I do know is that because government expenditure is now under some level of scrutiny by the IMF, they have become a bit more careful.
Okay.
The smart economics accounting, the smart accounting that the finance minister was doing.
Why did he change from economics?
No, it's
accounting?
not economics. I mean,
really,
we've seen it. It was smart accounting. Okay. I mean, that's hiding the numbers, hiding some of the debts, you know, under footnotes. That wasn't smart economics. It was just smart accounting, and it has been exposed as a result of the engagement with the IMF, and so they no longer have the opportunity to do that. But generally speaking, I think that yes, the IMF program so far has been helpful, and I hope that the government will have the discipline to continue to go through some of the prescriptions.
Conditions.
Yeah, the prescriptions that the IMF have for them. But we have to do it mindful of the impact on the ordinary Ghanaian who has already suffered and endured so much.
Earlier, you mentioned that you're not expecting to have new taxes, right?
Yes.
And increases in the rate of taxes.
Yes.
What if they do? What would you do?
As a minority, we have already served the notice through our minority leader, Dr. Atuforson. He said it clearly when Parliament resumed that our group will not support, you know, government's decision to impose more hardship on the ordinary Ghanaian. And so we will be scrutinizing the budget with a tooth comb. I mean, we will do it diligently.
Okay.
And I can assure you that anything we find burdensome in that budget, burdensome for the ordinary Ghanaian, will face fierce resistance from us as a minority. And that is why already we have indicated that as people in authority, we need to send a signal to the ordinary Ghanaian that we appreciate and understand the challenges that we are in, and that we are in it together. And so the sacrifices must not be made by one side, those out of government alone in that case. It must be made by both sides, those in government and outside government. Our signaling has been the call that we made and supported for the Speaker of Parliament to, for the first time in a long time, you know, hold the post-budget workshop in Parliament, so that costs of that post-budget workshop can be managed better than it would have been if we went to the usual.
We went outside.
We went outside Parliament. Yeah. Yes, I mean that's the signaling that we on the minority side, you know, are showing, and true to that spirit, you can be rest assured that anything that this government wants to introduce in that budget that we consider to be additional burden on the ordinary Ghanaian will face fierce resistance from us.
But can you attribute that to the minority in general? Because your leadership agreed to, you know, moving out of Accra. It was your colleague MP for Buem and some of you who rather protested on the floor. So can it be a minority work?
Well, yes, it is minority work. I mean, there have been contrary, you know, reportage on the matter. Yesterday on the floor, when the matter came up, I heard the minority leader say, for example, that at the business committee meeting, the venue for the post-budget workshop was not discussed.
Okay.
Perhaps it was taken for granted that the speaker, usually with the staff of parliament, after their assessment of proposals, determine the venue. And so at the business committee meeting, according to the minority leader, it was not discussed. And so many members, including the leadership, were surprised when the deputy majority leader, my very good friend, Honorable Afenyo-Makin, in presenting the business statement, revealed from wherever he got that information from, that the venue for the post-budget workshop was going to be Rock City. It was that surprise that led to the discussion on the floor, where the suggestions came from our side, led by Kofi Adams. The suggestion that we should have the post-budget workshop rather in Parliament to save costs, which was then supported by members on our side, including the leadership, on our side. So clearly, it's a minority proposal, which the speaker's determination to also, give the right signal to the people that we are willing to also bite the bullet and reduce government expenditure. Ensured that the decision was arrived at yesterday for the meeting to be had in Parliament.
So you mentioned earlier that we have to stick with what IMF is recommending, the prescriptions.
Right.
And that's why we're seeing the growth that is being reported. And one of the things is to look at revenue, isn't it?
Right.
So if they don't increase taxes or introduce new taxes, then how does government raise revenue?
So you quoted me halfway.
Okay.
I said we need to follow the prescriptions of the IMF, but mindful of the impact that it may have on the ordinary Ghanaian. I said so.
Okay. Yes.
And one of the ways to manage revenue is reducing unnecessary expenditure. An expenditure cut is actually a revenue gain.
Okay.
So for example, how much government was going to spend for the post-budget workshop has been saved.
Will it be reduced or entirely saved?
Reduced. The reduction is saved. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what the saving you have made from changing the venue outside Parliament to within the premises of Parliament is actually a revenue gain to government that can be applied to other use. But for that decision, and let's use, fictional figures to illustrate the point. Assuming government was going to spend, say, 25 million on post-budget workshop, and doing it in Parliament, it saves 20 million. Maybe government would have liked to introduce a 0.5% tax to raise 20 million to provide textbooks for school children. That saved 20 million can take care of that. That's why I am saying that an expenditure cut is actually a revenue gain.
Okay.
And so we do not necessarily have to meet the revenue, mobilization expectation of the IMF through increase in taxes or its rates. By just being prudent and disciplined with our expenses, we can meet the revenue expectation of the IMF.
Okay. Now, there are key areas that, you even mentioned earlier that we have to grow the productive sectors of this economy.
Right.
One area is agriculture. over the years we've been doing lip service, we've been playing lip service with it. We say we'll do this, but it doesn't, really materialize. So as we prepare to bring about this 2024 budget, you are coming from a region where agric is really the mainstay of the people there. What are you looking at in terms of hearing the policy guideline regarding development of agric in this country?
Sincerely, when I think of the agric sector, I feel pained by how much resources have gone into that sector in the last 7 years, and how much we have blown that on just rhetorics. And those in that sector, trust me, are even more pained because they understand the issues that I am talking about. I mean, the grants that we got, especially from the Canadians that were supposed to help with the planting for food and jobs, and how we have wasted it. In some cases, awarding contracts for the construction of warehouses that have not been constructed or poorly done and are not utilized. And you don't even do the right investments in production. And you go and you are anticipating higher yields. And so you award contracts because party apparatchiks must get jobs to do.
But they brought the PFJ, which was to support farmers to increase production.
That's why I'm saying rhetoric. I'm saying there were grants. Monies were also voted from central government to support the planting for food and jobs. But what do we have to show? Food inflation in this country is one of the highest. In fact, when the Statistical Service does the presentation, food inflation is the lead cause of the high inflation that we have in this country today. If the PFJ was successful, we wouldn't have that situation. So that is the reason I feel pained. So much came by way of revenue to support the growth of the agric sector. But somehow, so much of it was just wasted.
Okay.
And I'm not surprised that the one in that sector thought he could be president. Sometimes that's what happens to people with too much at their disposal. They begin not to see reality. And that's why it was so real to all of us that it was an unnecessary and a useless ambition. But he couldn't see it. I think that government has to reassess that whole planting for food and jobs program. It needs to be re-evaluated. And I'm not the one just saying it. There are several reports from civil society organizations in that sector that has called for a review of that program. In fact, the latest one I read was from the Imani Ghana. PFJ has to be reviewed.
But Brian Achampon is implementing the PFJ.2.
So that is yet to be fully assessed. But it's as a result of, in my view, and if you want to be fair, you agree with me, the failure of the PFJ1 that led to a consultative forum after Brian Achampon came. And some review was done. And I'm happy that we now all agree that the word review does not mean cancelling. That review was done. But it is yet to be assessed because they have just begun the implementation of the PFJ2. It is my hope that he will also get it's impossible, especially given the financial circumstances that we find ourselves now. But it is my hope that he will get at least some level of, revenue or, investments that his predecessor had.
So what do you want to hear about the agric sector in the budget tomorrow?
I want to hear a focus on processing, especially. You know, I am a rice farmer.
Oh.
And I know that a lot of farmers in our, you know, farming communities have issues with their produce. They harvest and they do not know where to sell it or where to have them processed. In fact, last year, the farmers came together to address the press on how, you know, the prices that were offered by the few processing, you know, companies around were not competitive. Again, this year in the field of rice, in the northern sector especially, many of the rice farms were attacked by birds. In some cases, people with 20-acre farms could not harvest up to 2 acres.
Wow.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes. I would want to hear how government intends to address that bird situation as we prepare for next year's farming season. Because a lot of farmers lost their investment to these birds this year. I want to hear something about how to guarantee the farmer some level of comfort and assurance that when they till the land and make investments in it, they will not lose it to some of these predators. And they are not such that an individual can easily deal with them. In fact, they are migratory birds, I'm told. And in some cases, the information we are hearing is that our neighboring countries are fighting them. And so they are beginning to migrate into Ghana. So I want to hear some level of investment in processing generally, not just into the rice production, but general processing of the agricultural produce that we have in this country. And I also want to hear some investments in the area of fertilizer supply, weedicide supply, and the prevention of these predatory birds from destroying farms.
Not a cap on importation of, for example, rice, because if now local farmers can produce more, so if there's a cap on importation of rice, the local farmers can then get the impetus to produce more.
That is also something that is worth considering. Because yes, I believe that if our local farmers are challenged, they have the capacity to produce enough rice to feed this country, especially if we have the right processing plants dotted across the country.
Okay, all right. I'll come back to you, but let me bring in Professor John Gachi. He is Dean, University of Cape Coast School of Business. Prof, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us here. Now, my first question is, you have been monitoring the economy. You know what's happening. Is the Ghanaian economy growing?
A benchmark.
Hello, Prof. Unfortunately, we're not hearing you. So if you could...
is it okay now?
Okay, yes, it's okay now. Yes, let's hear you.
Yeah, unless you set some benchmark to compare. But as we know, we do know that our economy should be growing consistently around a certain percentage. And this is not happening as we expect. Just after COVID, we thought that we resume growth. But in 2022, that was truncated. And we see the numbers that we are churning out. And then again, we see the projection of the IMF that we need to be working with. And that is not the growth that will take us to where we want to go. Growth is very important in trying to contain the debt burden of the country. So if we continue to grow at this lower panel, that will not solve our problems. So I do not think that we are the optimum yet. There is more room to improve on the growth direction of the country. But this will not come by itself. It will come by conscious investment efforts. For example, if you look at disaggregated data from Statistical Service, it is very clear that there are about 10 agricultural produce that when we target them and give clear targets to ourselves, that will help to contribute to the growth of the economy.
Okay.
For example, some time ago, we pegged rice production and consumption in the country to about 30%. What are we doing? The volume of rice that we import into the country, what is the percentage that is grown or produced within? If it's about 20%, can we set for ourselves by 2 years' time 60%? The same thing applies to tomatoes. The same thing applies to some of the items that we are importing that we are not happy about. So it takes a conscious effort. How do we make even production and agriculture in general contribute to management of currency and management of inflation? So these are the things when we accept a policy framework will help the growth of the economy to go in a direction that will contribute to fiscal measurement. Today, we are focusing on revenue generation. That is not a bad idea, but revenue generation alone is not going to be the solution of the economy. We need to see the growth come back forcefully to complement all these efforts at increasing revenue mobilization.
Now, it has been reported that Ghana is growing, the GDP growth is averaging some 3.2% in the first 2 quarters of the year, contrary to 1.5% presented by the IMF. Inflation has also dropped to 38.1% in September, while cedi's depreciation has slowed from the beginning of the year to date after depreciating cumulatively by about 23.5%. Now, on the fiscal front, the primary balance on commitment basis for the first half of the year was a surplus of about 2 billion cedis compared to a target of a deficit of 4 billion cedis. Gross international reserves, which measures how the country could fund its import bill, also stood at some $2.1 billion, equivalent to 1 month import cover, compared to $1.5 billion, that's 0.6 months of import cover recorded at the end of December 2022. So, as we prepare to present the 2024 budget, and we know all of these, what are you expecting to hear from the finance minister to consolidate these gains and, to build on that? First of all, you might want to confirm for us whether these are true facts.
Well, some of them are just projections, and the realities will come when the data is compiled at the end of the fiscal year. So it is then that we will see whether the growth is actually outscale what was projected. And it happens all the time that real performance will outperform the projection.
Okay.
And the good thing about the Ghanaian economy is that for over a decade, all the projections for Sub-Saharan Africa, all the projections for West African sub-region, Ghanaian economy try to outperform all those indicators.
Okay.
So we are hoping that will be the outcome. But the doldrum that we have fallen into is such that the level of growth that we need should be very robust, consistent over a period of time before we'll be able to solve our problem. So all the growth we're talking about, they still suffer for the defect of the growth that we have been churning out over a decade. We describe the growth as not inclusive and not coming from the sectors that will galvanize contribution to the economy from revenue perspective, from employment perspective. So even the growth we're talking about is the same type of growth that we're talking about. That does not mean much to contribution to revenue, that does not mean much to contribution to employment generation. So we need to also be setting how inclusive the growth that we're talking about is coming about. It is then that we know that we are doing something. And of course, we do know that there is a pass-through effect or pass-through period for all these indicators to have effects. But if you look at a reduction from 54% to 38% over a 5-month period, we need to be seeing some reflection on prices. Other than that, what is the joy of reduction in inflation, such a significant margin over a period of 5 months? That has no reflection. I know people will say that, oh, pass-through period, but the question is, what is the pass-through period? Is it 1 year? You know, so we need to be questioning, and that is also informative that the inflationary pressure that we have in the economy is largely because of fiscal dominance. That is by the Bank of Ghana lending to the central government for its activities. That has actually contributed hugely to inflation. And so long as that activity stopped, and then we have also stopped paying our external creditors, that has actually put a lot of respite for the economy, and that is why we are seeing the drawdown in inflation, and perhaps that is the reason why it's not even reflecting in pricing indicators in the country. So we need to now look at managing inflation from, the issues of production. We need to manage inflation together with all the benefits we are getting right now, so that the overall benefit of inflation will be reflective in our market, will be reflected on our indicators. We want to see inflation benefit policy rates. We want to see inflation benefit interest rate development in the country. You cannot tell me that 16% drop down in inflation is not significant to change the course of policy rate and lending rates in the country.
So must we target probably say the food inflation, once we know that is the major contributor to the increase in inflation, to achieve a lower inflation?
That is the low-hanging fruit we need to address with policy. And that is why I said that if you look at disaggregated data from the Statistical Service, it gives you impression the area that we are spending so much money to import food produce into the country, for which we have the capacity to produce with the given environment and then the incentive that are needed to prop up production in those areas. And when we do that, we are solving three problems at the same time. We are increasing our ability for food sufficiency. We are also fighting depreciation with that measure, and we are also fighting inflation with that measure. So that benefits us from three perspectives.
Okay. All right. Now, the 2023 budget statement announced a 7-point agenda, which was were aimed at restoring macroeconomic stability and accelerating Ghana's economic transformation. Now, these points were aggressively mobilize domestic revenue, streamline and rationalize expenditures, boost local productive capacity, promote and diversify exports, protect the poor and vulnerable, expand digital and climate-responsive physical infrastructure, and implement structural and public sector reforms. How would you rate the performance of the government over these 7 points that they introduced in the 2023 budget?
Well, I think the budget was read in November 2022, but we all saw what happened from last quarter of 2022 and to the first quarter of 2023. And so largely those things did not materialize. and they do not impact significantly to the economy. The only area is that we are seeing market improvement in fintechs, market improvement in digital platforms and the rest. But that is only about payment system. You need employment, you need incomes to participate comfortably in the digital space. So that is why we cannot replace creating employment, we cannot replace growing the economy, we cannot replace developing the productive sector of the economy with digitalization. They should be complementary efforts at achieving the desire of the economy. So I would say there are factors that actually mitigated against achieving those set goals for the 2023 budget.
Well, interesting. So let me come into studio and bring in Hassan Suhuniyi. So Prof seemed to agree with you that, I mean, the productive sector could probably be the way to go. But if you look at how things are being done now, do you foresee that there will be that commitment to the productive sector in the 2024 budget?
Well, at this point, they don't have a choice. They need to make those commitments. And perhaps they also need to begin to face the reality of the failure of some of the political rhetorics that they have been engaged in and have convinced many to believe those rhetorics are really policies that are aimed at transforming this country in any way. At least they have eaten the humble pie on a number of them, like NAPCO. It is time that they face the reality of their political propaganda and spin. For example, the teachers and nurses' allowances. These are supposed to be in arrears. In some cases, arrears beyond 7 months, in some cases, 10 months. It just points to government's inability to pay. Otherwise, why will they not pay them as they promised that they will pay them? So it's time for them to face the reality and make the necessary admissions like they have with NAPCO and say, this can't work. We thought it could. We're wrong. John Mahama was right. The NDC was right. We need to, make some saving there so that we can invest in producing more teachers and more nurses who will be assured of hospitals that can employ them. Because you have some of the graduates from the teaching field and from the nursing field who are waiting for posting. They can't be posted because the general hospital hasn't been constructed. Because if it was constructed, it would have required nurses. So they need to review some of these policies that are also bogging them down. Free SHS.
But
the finance minister.
But non-posting of nurses is not a new challenge, is it?
But it was a challenge that was being fixed through the construction of, multiple health centers, because the savings were made. And that is why when this government came into office, one of their trump cards was that they have posted the nurses. And I always used to ask, did you post them to your bedrooms? You posted them to hospitals and clinics that were constructed by the previous government. Because you didn't post them to new, clinics that you constructed or old hospitals. You posted them to the University of Ghana, the Ridge, and others. The Tamale Teaching Hospital expanded, the Bolga, those were the places you posted them.
But it doesn't matter who constructs them.
It's government. It doesn't. That is why this government should also begin to face the reality and stop the politicking.
They are constructing Agenda 111.
I just gave you the example. What is the state? Let's not even go there. You see, let's not even go there. I'm talking about, the need for them to invest in the productive sectors. Okay. And the way to do that is to stop the politicking And when they stop the politicking, they will be stopping the wastage. Okay. Because, for example, as they have now come to the realization that NAPCO was not the way of solving unemployment, because even with NAPCO, unemployment has moved from about 8% to now 14%. And they still have arrears that are owed some of the people who were enrolled in NAPCO, and those, many of them, are still at home without jobs. I'm saying that it is time that they have that difficult conversation or approach to say the way and manner that they are implementing the free senior high school. A policy that even we in the NDC also agreed from day one was a very good policy, and because it was good, it needed to be implemented better. It needed to be implemented well. It is time they begin to review it thoroughly so that they can cut out some of the waste that is involved in it. And remember the point I made earlier, which I'll repeat, that an expenditure cut, a wasteful expenditure cut, is a revenue gain. Yeah. So when they do some of these realignment, like I said, the teacher and nursing allowance, they must now be bold enough to tell the people the truth, that the NDC was right about this policy, we were wrong, and this is the way to go. Because you see, this whole talk about increasing revenue, the evidence is there that the problem is not more with increasing revenue, but it is more with the implementation or the usage. The usage of the revenue. I mean, the NDC under President Mahama, for example, if you add borrowed funds and tax revenue during his period, it was less than 70 billion. But look at the infrastructure explosion that we witnessed under his government. And the fact that we did not even have to undergo a debt restructuring under his regime. Our economy was not rated junk as it is rated today. But tax revenue plus borrowed funds, if you put it all together, it was less than 70 billion. You are talking about 298 billion since this government came into office. Not 100, 200, almost 300 billion. And yet, we are in the state that we are in, where inflation has run away. Over 30% today. Debt to GDP is nothing to write home about. The last time it was over 102%.
Now it's dropping.
And you are undergoing a second debt restructuring program. So, what happens to the saying that to whom much is given,
much is expected?
Much is expected. So, if the revenue, mobilized is not judiciously and prudently used, you would have done or achieved nothing. And that is why I am focused on the need for us to rationalize government expenditure. That is the way we can get maximum benefit from the revenue that we have been raising. I guess and there's evidence, like I said, what 70 billion gave us is not comparable in any way to what we are receiving from over 290 billion.
I guess if you don't see this rationalization tomorrow in the budget, you will probably lead your side to stage a walkout.
Well, that is not a decision I can take as an individual.
But
I mean, it's a caucus.
You can lobby
it's a
from the
caucus
back.
decision, but I can assure you that as a caucus, we have had a discussion on how to approach this budget, and it is through those discussions that the minority leader, Dr. Atuforsen, gave the indication that we will not support any irrational proposals that we find burdensome, especially to the ordinary Ghanaian.
You've given some of the policies that you expect some cut in. What are the other areas that you want to see a cut in? We have several areas the government spent on.
Yeah.
You've spoken about the NAPCO, you've spoken about the free senior high school implementation policy. What else? What are some of the areas that you're targeting as well?
Well, I've also spoken about the allowances. And then I also
allowances
think
to who?
That teachers, nurses, they must admit. 8 months, 9 months arrears, tell them the truth that you are struggling. And that if you rationalize that expenditure, it can be applied judiciously elsewhere. Okay, that will lead to benefits to them, so more benefits to those who are undergoing that trade.
So you want government to take away the allowances paid to nurses
and invest
teachers.
In the student loan trust fund.
Okay.
Because that is where all tertiary students who cannot support themselves through education are supposed to pick a loan. And you see, the NDC's program and proposal at the time was based on the fact that nurses and teachers were guaranteed a job after completion. And so paying back such loans, was not going to be difficult for them. And so all you need to do is to invest more in the student loan trust fund. And let all tertiary students, because those in university, those in polytechnics, now technical universities, are all accessing the student loan trust fund. So why pretend that this category of tertiary students deserve allowance you are not even able to pay anyway? Rationalize it.
So the allowances you mentioned is for the teaching, the teacher trainees.
Yes,
and the nursing trainees.
Nursing trainees.
Not the professionals.
Oh, sorry. I didn't make that distinction.
Yes.
Sorry,
okay.
I was referring to the trainees.
Okay.
That was the policy. So that's what I'm saying, that they must rationalize it. They must begin to tell the truth and admit to some of these political games that they played. And being confronted with the reality, they need to address them. I also think that there are many other areas. Like, take a look at the Office of Government Machinery and how much money is voted to that place. What benefit do we get from those monies that are voted to the Office of Government Machinery? The number of presidential staffers are just mind-boggling. In some cases, you do not even know the meaning of the designations that some of them are given. Job for the boys. Let's see some rationalization in those areas. It is the right thing to do to bring about confidence in the ordinary Ghanaian that the government is aware of the challenges that we are faced with. Cut the amount of money that goes to the Office of Government Machinery. And you see, this may seem inconsequential, but almost every night before I go to bed, when I go on social media platforms, Twitter, now X, Snap, it's hard not to find the president at one party or the other. I don't know if you have all noticed it.
I haven't noticed.
Yeah, it's hard. You find people snapping one party or the other. Partying as if there's no tomorrow, as if there's nothing happening in this country. People are not losing their investments. Businesses are not collapsing.
Oh, so he cannot honor invitations to people's parties?
Well,
if you invite the president and he doesn't come, won't you be hurt?
Well, it's up to you. Like I said, it may seem inconsequential, but if you are very sensitive to, the political temperature, there are some things in leadership that you must be careful not to engage in at times like this. It provokes the people. It's provocative to somebody who all day perhaps has not been able to attend lectures because he couldn't make money to pay his fees. For somebody who remained unemployed and does not have hope of getting a job. For somebody whose business is collapsing because he's unable to pay his workers. To go on social media and see the one that is supposed to give him hope at parties dancing all the time. Like I said, it may be inconsequential, but I think that the political leadership must be sensitive to the suffering that people are going through and be cautious with how they portray themselves in times like this.
Okay, all right. So that's Alhassan Suhuniyi there. Let me bring in Prof now. Prof Gachi, last year in the budget, they were targeting a growth of 2.8 in real GDP, inclusive of oil, 3.0% in real GDP non-oil, 18.9% end of period inflation, overall fiscal budget deficit of 7.7%, and gross international reserves of more than 3.3% months cover. With how things have turned out, what kind of report do you want to receive? Are you expecting to receive tomorrow on these targets?
Well, I think the report, we know them already. We are aware of them. I think the inflation figure was revised to, I think, about 28% for the end of the year. So we may have to look at those information provided again.
Okay.
They have been changed over time. So the real, the message is that we have not met most of our indicators, and that we should be hearing from the finance minister what are the strategies to improve upon those indicators, what are the strategies to meet targets that have been set, especially for 2024, being a crucial year. You remember what happened in 2020, that we are still battling with the issue of COVID and election. We raise so much money from COVID. We do little in the area of COVID, but we could see when we go to our villages, our towns during election year, how money was visibly distributed to people. And we are in 2024. We need to check the budgets. I'm not sure most of the expenditure for 2024 election will be finding their way into the budget, but we need to be very careful, critical things that feature in the budget, whether they are in real term things that we should be doing, or they are just there for vote buying and the rest. Right. So that is what we should be doing in the 2024 budget that will be read to us tomorrow. So it is clear that we have not met those projections. What is needed is the explanation to why we couldn't meet them. Then what we want to do to meet them in 2024. That is critical.
Will you probably be in a position to rate the performance maybe after tomorrow?
You know that it's not fair to do that. Giving your voice and my voice, as soon as I say something right now, you know the implication. But it's not something that we should share away. The performance has been very abysmal. The performance is not encouraging. We are aggravating some of the situation. We need to work very hard to open up the domestic debt market and free up concentration on the Treasury bill. That is very significant. We need to work assiduously to ensure that the downward trend in inflation translates into improvement in other indicators. So those are the things that we should be doing. We shouldn't be, churning out information that will not have reflection of the people. If you read Article 36 of the Constitution, it's very clear the intent of any economic outcome is to make the people happy, is to cater for the vulnerable in society. You see what happened in the down spillage and the rest, the state is very anemic. It's not able to actually own the situation and cater for the vulnerable. So these are issues that we need to be looking at and be measuring the performance of a government.
People have spoken about capping. You know, when the dialysis crisis started, a lot of people spoke about how we should get capping of the NHIS off. Today, the Birth and Death Registry is also calling for, the removal of capping. Is it your expectation that probably because of how the discussions have been, there will be the announcement of removal of capping on some of these statutory funds?
I don't know how that will be done. It's a concern that over earmarking of revenue is a problem for us. And we have over earmarked the revenue to the extent that when we do the actual distribution, nothing or very small is left for, other investment in the economy. So it is something to look at, but there are statutory requirements that are rooted in the Constitution. And I don't know how just a budget reading will take off those ones. So it depends on the area that they are looking, but some of them are constitutional provisions, and I'm sure nothing can be done about it.
Unless MPs like Suhuniyi decide to raise the issue and then they'll be looked at.
Yeah, but we keep on continuing with the earmarking. And what it means is that we are actually restricting ourselves to be doing what is required of us as an economy. So we can look at that, but let's look at the constitutional restriction before we do that. In fact, that's the reason why, the over earmarking, that's the reason why even we have the statutory sharing of the revenue be in arrears for many times, and even sometime when they are going to pay to them, District Assembly Common Fund and the rest, sometimes they don't pay the full, and that actually truncates or limits the ability of the authorities in the rural economy or the decentralized economy to be able to do effective work at the assemblies and the rest. Okay. I think you heard yesterday that one DC also was saying that even to convey relief items to where they are needed, they don't have money to buy fuel, they don't have vehicle to convey them. So we need to look at it in a holistic manner.
Okay.
But what is needed mostly now is that we need to prioritize efficient expenditure. Any expenditure we undertake should qualify as efficient expenditure. Any procurement we undertake should qualify as efficient expenditure. We hear reports of procurement breaches all the time, and I think it's not the best. That is where the corruption takes place. So we need to foster efficient expenditure across board. And that is what will help the economy come out. Mobilizing more revenue, but weak expenditure framework that is not qualified to be efficient will not help the economy go far.
Okay. But what would be your definition of efficient expenditure?
I just articulated some of them. If the procurement process is fraught with breaches and even corruption, any expenditure on such a thing is not efficient.
Okay.
So that is one clear example that I'm giving.
Okay.
So we need to tie proper engagement with procurement activities with our expenditure, because procurement activities at the end of the day comes with expenditure.
Okay, so I've got the revised target for 2023.
Yeah.
Overall GDP growth rate 1.5%. Non-oil GDP growth rate 1.5%. End period inflation rate 31.3%. Fiscal deficit of GDP, that's a percentage of GDP, 6.4%. Primary balance, percentage of GDP, 1.2%. And import cover, number of months, 0.8. So what will be your expectation tomorrow, looking at all of these targets?
Yeah, as I said, it's a requirement to revise and then provide information on how those targets have actually performed. So we will listen to the finance minister to say what he will give us.
Okay.
But it is very clear that some indicators, unless we get to the end of a year, we cannot get the full picture. So it will still be projection.
Okay. So I have to let you go now, but what will be your biggest advice to the Minister of Finance as he prepares to deliver the budget tomorrow?
I'm not sure the Minister of Finance will take my advice. So there's no need to discuss that.
Oh, you can't tell. Maybe today he will.
Well, if I want to advise, it will be a broad spectrum of activities, and that will be so much. But I can also say that we need to follow this revenue drive carefully to ensure that we strike a clear balance between mobilizing more revenue for the country and creating environment for business community to thrive well. You can use fiscal measures to incentivize economic environment, and you may also use fiscal tools to actually discourage and burden the business environment. So there is a need for striking a balance between the quest to increase revenue mobilization and defining an environment which is conducive for businesses. As we speak now, our business environment is less competitive when compared to our neighboring countries. We need to work assiduously to change that trend. So that is one advice that I will give to the finance minister, if he may like to take the advice.
Yeah.
Then again, we also need to look at the petroleum sector, the way we utilize petroleum sector. When the petroleum activity started in the country, we designed a regulation or an act to guide us how to use the revenue to spur economic development for the country. But it's like we just use the budget process to change the way the arrangement is supposed to be. And that we need to be watching that seriously, because it is not for nothing that normally we want to segregate performance of the economy with and without the oil sector, because we want to see the full effect that is having on our economy.
Okay.
So there is a need to look at that critically.
Well, if you were the finance minister, would you remove some taxes? Because you want to make business, the environment competitive enough.
Well, I'm speaking from a professional point of view. What we know is that normally, government do not actually remove taxes. What they do is that they realign taxes, they change names, and they change the operation of the taxes. So, for example, I'm wondering why the minister, for example, has kept the COVID levy on the books. He could have just engaged with the tax-paying stakeholders and changed the name of the tax to something else, and that would maybe accommodated more than keeping COVID-19 levy on the list of taxes we have in the country.
Okay.
So in real term, government do not remove taxes; they realign them because the revenue that those taxes are bringing is used to the economy, and that they are not minded to remove them.
Okay.
Normally.
So in effect, we'll continue paying the COVID-19, just a realignment or a renaming of the tax, right?
Yeah, that's what I expect.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us here.
Thank you.
John Gachi is Dean of the University of Cape Coast School of Business, the only university of competitive choice. I know people will not want to agree, but that's fine.
the number one in Ghana, number one
in West Africa.
West Africa.
Thank you. Thank you.
And number 7 in Africa.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Serious gang up here. Serious gang up here. Anyway, but you see, isn't it a shame that people like Professor John Gachi feel, and we also seem to agree with them, that their ideas will not be welcome by the finance minister. Isn't it sad? It is that, arrogant, we know it all attitude that has landed us in the situation that...
Is it really arrogance? I've met the minister a couple of times. I even interviewed him recently when they were doing their presidential primaries. He doesn't come across as someone who's arrogant.
Arrogance is not always loud. That's the mistake we make.
Okay.
That's the mistake we make. Some people can actually be very loud but humble. And some people can be very calm but very arrogant in their dealings. And so that arrogance of we know it all and we need no one's help is what has brought us here. I mean, how many times haven't people spoken about the levels of borrowing? Kenke was eating in our faces and Wache eating in our faces. And we're taunted. How many times did we not caution that we needed to approach the IMF earlier than we did?
Yeah.
What were we told? And so it gets to a point where people like Professor John Gachi, do you doubt his competence when it comes to his understanding of the economy and how it should work? Why can't people like that be engaged even before the budget is prepared? Because I know it used to happen in the past. In fact, Imani and others all were engaged. Oh, heck, to a point, the government conveyed their Senchi Forum. Bring your ideas. That's how we got the economy back on track after it was hit by the single spine introduction and the energy crisis.
Okay.
But it is sad that we are where we are today. And I agree with him when he makes the point that we need to look out for, programs that are basically vote buying programs. Because we cannot afford the luxury that this government took us through.
If he was on
2020.
If he was on, I would have asked him about the teacher and nursing training allowances. I forgot to ask him.
Yeah. So we have to look out for those things. I mean, we saw some of those campaign vote buying programs in the 2020 budget implementation. The free this, throwing the money up and down, and that is why our books are not even balancing today. Corruption and all of that. So we need to look at that. And I like the point about capping too, because the whole idea of capping was to ensure that government, centralize more revenue to do more things for the growth of the economy. Yet we are not getting the benefit of it. And the institutions that hitherto had those funds no longer have those funds. And as a result, they are crippled. Their operations are crippled.
So would you push that in Parliament?
It's time that we begin to have that conversation of denying the finance minister that power to cap some of this earmarked revenues. I think so.
But you're on the first is a committee in
Lands
Parliament.
and Forestry Committee.
Good.
Yes.
You heard about the Kakum Forest and someone applying to mining in there, but the Minerals Commission says no, we're not going to allow that, and that they've even deleted the application from their cadastre.
I am not surprised that somebody will have the confidence and the boldness to actually put in an application to be allowed to mine in the Kakum Park. I'm not surprised. It all boils down to the leadership that you give. It is that leadership that will make people know what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. So if we have a kind of leadership that gives the impression that they will tolerate such nonsense, forgive my language, you will have people bold enough to apply to engage in such nonsense. I mean, why? The Suhuniyi Forest Reserve. What hasn't Akonta Mining done there? The evidence is there online, on YouTube. Rape that forest.
On Joy.
On Joy.
Yeah.
Yes. The Suhuniyi Forest.
Yeah.
The minister said he was constituting an investigative team into it. Only for the president to jump the gun and clear Akonta Mining, that's the name, owned by Wuntumi, and said they were not engaged in any illegal mining in that forest. Achimota Forest. Hey, let's not allow the land to be sold. Sir John and others willing it. The president issues an executive instrument to de-gazette that, so that it can be legitimized. The lands that have been shared among themselves for development will be legitimized. Are you getting the point I'm making? So you tolerate the destruction of Suhuniyi Forest. You issue an executive instrument to legitimize the sale and development of parts of the Achimota Forest. You have civil society organizations campaigning against the mining in the Etiwa Forest. You pay no heed to them. And you are surprised someone is applying to mine in the Kakum back. Yesterday, I revealed on my Facebook wall that the Tamale Waterworks Forest Reserve, part of it which has been serving as a timber market around the Babu area, has been sold. At first, the argument was that it was sold or not sold. In June, put the question to the minister because somebody was asking the timber market people to evacuate so that he will develop the land. And so the back and forth started. The media took it up.
So it's no longer a forest reserve.
It's part of the forest reserve.
Okay, but that's where the timber market
is.
Or is now.
Yes, okay. That's where the timber market is. But the land is supposed to be part of the Tamale Waterworks Forest Reserve.
Okay. So it is not as though when we go there, we'll see forest there now.
But you will see forest around
it. Okay.
Or at least behind it.
Okay.
You know, because the frontage has been used for the road that leads to the stadium.
Okay.
The Tamale Sports Stadium.
Okay.
So that argument of whether or not it was sold was going back and forth. In fact, the Regional Lands Commission organized a press conference to say that land had not been sold. In June, I asked the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources a question in Parliament. And because you can't lie to Parliament, he admitted that that land had been sold to one company known as Fatu Caribbean Company Limited for redevelopment.
Okay. Redevelopment as what?
Redevelopment. We are not told what that entails. But the people operating on that land, the timber market operators and others, were all supposed to evacuate. Only for us to find out, which I revealed yesterday on my Facebook, that land, the minister himself in his answer said it was measuring 1.38 acres in Tamale town, was leased to this Fatu Caribbean Company Limited for 50 years at 621 Ghana cedis per annum. 621 Ghana cedis.
For the entire area.
1.38 acres in Tamale town.
For a year.
For a year.
621. Not up to 1,000 Ghana cedis.
No. I mean, so I'm saying that the kind of leadership you show, you demonstrate, is what attracts the level of nonsense, forgive my language again, that we are seeing, where people will have the boldness and the arrogance to apply to mine at the Kakum Park. How do you sell? Look, if you divide 621 Ghana cedis by 12 months, it means that that 1.38 acre land is given to the person 51 Ghana cedis a month.
Really?
You can't even get one bathroom to rent for 51 Ghana cedis in Tamale Town.
And these are official documents?
Yes.
651.
621 Ghana cedis. Why?
For 50 years.
Why? How can you rape the country? Apart from the fact that this is supposed to be part of a forest reserve, which you shouldn't have in the first place given to a private developer to engage in any development that will affect the forest. You have done that. And the revenue you are supposed to get from this person is 621 Ghana cedis a year. I mean, those who were there on that land, the timber market people, the revenue that they, I mean, the what do you call it? The lampo, the taxes that they paid to the local assembly and the forestry commission alone in a month, I'm sure, was more than 621 Ghana cedis. It's a shame.
Okay, so I've gotten, the name is Fatu Cariban Company Limited,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Term is 50 years, commences 29th August 2020. So they've already started.
Yes, I mean the minister. So the minister was in Parliament and was saying that the people must evacuate for Fatu Cariban to redevelop the land.
Well, okay, but the document I'm seeing on your wall has that 620 has some. Is that a correct, or they were making that?
I have the full document.
Wow.
I was just highlighting it with a yellow mark.
Oh, okay, for people to see.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. All right. But in general, you see all the fight against illegal mining and all of that. What was the committee doing?
So the Mines and Energy Committee, I know, has been very proactive in dealing with some of these issues. Sometimes there's that crisscrossing. So the Lands and Forestry Committee, of which I am a member, I'm the deputy ranking.
Okay.
Mining, so to speak, is not under the purview of the Lands and Forestry Committee, except when the mining is done in a forest reserve.
Okay.
But I mean, I've raised the question, really, is there any mining that is currently happening, outside?
So mining
forest? It may not be a reserve, but sorry.
Mining is
there's actually Mines and Energy Committee.
Okay.
So mining generally is under the Mines and Energy Committee. So I know that the ranking and members, Dr. Kobna, the ranking John Jinapo and Dr. Kobna Donko and others have been very proactive in raising some of these issues that they find very disturbing in that sector. I mean, when it has to do with mining in the forest, like we have this application to mine at the Kakum National Park, the Lands and Forestry Committee, especially the minority members, I know will be having a meeting this afternoon. We're looking at all of this and some of the proposals that have come for us to look at, even the EPA Act and how it is also furthering some of this destruction of our forest reserve.
Interesting. Let's see how we can all, help in protecting Ghana's environment and forest reserves, especially.
Absolutely.
Because especially now that there's the carbon trading, it's an area we can look at even raising revenues to support.
Yeah.
So the more we have it, the more we can raise revenue from that area.
Instead of taxing people.
Exactly. So we can rather conserve the forest to raise more money. Because last year this year there was an announcement that we got some $1 million from that for some work that was done between 2019 and so it's an area we can make a lot of money from, and that is the committee's responsibility to ensure that you get the minister to toe in line.
Yeah, we are doing our best. It hasn't been easy. I mean, when the attitude is not to do right, then you can make all the noise that you you can make. You can hold them before the committee, before parliament. They will still, in most cases, wriggle themselves out. I mean, when the attitude is not just right, then you need to change the leadership.
Okay. All right. That's the beginning of the campaign there. Al-Hassan Suhuniyi is MP for Tamale North. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, my brother.
All right. This is still the AM show. We'll take a quick break. We will be back, but kindly join us on social media with your comment on the issues that we've discussed. We've spoken about the economy, the budget that is to be presented in Parliament tomorrow, and of course, we've delved into mining and forest reserves. You can also leave your comments there. When we return, we'll be sharing that with the general viewers. But we also have a conversation on the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. How can you become a home owner? We'll bring that to you. But let me also acknowledge Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic for sponsoring our news review segment. Now, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic is offering free prostate screening and free female fertility screening in locations across Ghana. In Accra, Spintex opposite Shell Signboard. In Kumasi, Kronima Bohia behind Angel Educational Complex. In Takrade, Anaje Estate, Tema Community 22. In Techiman, Hanswa, and in the Nzema area, please locate us in Esiama. Call us on 0244-867-068 or 0274-234321. 0274-234321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic diseases. Now, let me take you to Honorable Suhuniyi's area in the north. Escape to Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Jerapa, Dubai. This Xmas season, you have seen the rest. Now it's time to see the best. Take a break from work this Xmas and take a break from the south. Let's all move to the north. The Royal Cozy Hills Hotel in Jerapa, Dubai is the place to relax, rewind, and re-energize for this Xmas holiday. It is away from the stress of the south. There's too much stress down here. Let's move to the north. Now, this is what awaits you. Unforgettable safari experience. Amazing array of wildlife, including lions, hippopotamus, zebras, ostriches, among many others, using spacious and well-secured game tour vehicles or using squad bikes. Now, there's also water sports such as the jet skiing, boat or canoe ride, among others. We have various family games to keep you and your families excited every day. Great tourist attraction in the Upper West region, including the Mushroom Rock, the Slave Caves, among others. And that's how it is. So escape from the south and escape to the north. Escape to Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Jerapa, Dubai for an unforgettable safari experience this Xmas season and beyond. Please call 0501-694280, 0501-694280 or 0248-844463 for reservations or further enquiries now. So that's it. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back to talk about the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. To stay.
The Dignity DTRT company is a US Ghanaian-based apparel manufacturing company. The company manufactures apparel for the market in the United States under the African Growth and Opportunity Act (AGWA), which grants products from countries under the Duty-Free Act status on export into the US. The founder and co-CEO, Skip Richmond, advised Ghanaian companies to take advantage of such acts and collaborations to foster growth.
Well, I think that one of the real strengths of our business was that we were a partnership of, American business people with experience in the industry, along with our local partners. And the combination of those two unique skill sets, right, allowed us to succeed, whereas others may have failed. So I think that collaboration and cooperation and really leveraging the knowledge that's out there, and allowing ourselves to know that we don't know everything yet and to learn from each other really is key to success.
Another founder and co-CEO of the company, Mike Hansard, underscored his belief in Ghanaian industries to compete with their compatriots across the globe.
I think besides the 5,000 people that we're employing, the biggest achievement for us is to show that we can compete with the rest of the world. We have serviced a number of international clients for many, many years very successfully. And when we first came to Ghana, no one really believed that it was possible here. But we're tremendously proud that we have shown not only that it is possible, but that we can thrive and be competitive in an industry that's highly competitive across the whole world.
The company, which has 2 factories in Tema and Accra, employs over 2,000 workers, with 70% being women. The Workers' Fun and Sports Day is to offer the workers from the 2 factories the opportunity to mingle and have fun while socializing. Salma Salifu is the managing director of the company.
Aside coming to work, leaving their homes very early, coming to work, closing and going back home, we felt there should be a special day where we all come together. They will come and share what they know. Those who are into soccer will play soccer. Those who are into basketball will play basketball. And it all boils down to helping the body. You know, sports, definitely when you go into sports, there's something that, you know, the energy that you get from it, it helps you to boost your, the heart food. It builds the heart so strong for you to have to do a lot. It also helps you to have this kind of unity amongst your peers.
She reiterated the need for companies to take the welfare of their employees serious, as it inures to the benefit of the company.
As a company, we have taken upon ourselves to make sure that they are well fed and comfortable to work in our premises. So we started a program barely about 3 months ago, whereby we bus the workers from their homes directly to work, and then we also bus them back home. We give them free lunch, and this is all because of the economic situation. I think other companies would also join, because you see, the fact that you are working with these guys or ladies doesn't mean that you only think about the profit. Think about also sharing the profit that you make with them.
Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Michael Ochibefi, who graced the event, applauded the company for setting out for its workers.
Giving these young people who are working for the company the opportunity to exercise and also to have fun, it's a very good thing. I guess this is the best for any corporate institution, to be able to psych and refresh the minds of these workers so that they'll be able to go back to the office and work well and contribute their best to the development of the company. So I give them a big thumbs up. They've done so well.
Some of the workers shared their excitement with Joy News.
So today has been a very thrilling and an exciting moment. I had real fun, and I'm really happy to be part of Dignity TRT as a company. And we got the opportunity to meet top management and then have interactions with other colleagues in the other side of the factory, which is Tema. So it's very fun, and I'm really happy. Yeah.
Ghana's apparel manufacturing industry is a bright spot for employment for both the skilled and unskilled labor. Already, the sector has given jobs to over 6,000 persons, emphasizing the importance of the sector in improving the livelihood of the youth while contributing to the growth of the economy. Prince Kwame Kudigas report for Joy News.
Okay, and prepare for an exhilarating experience at the Grand Fair of the 2023 EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Join us at the Accra International Conference Center from Thursday, November 23 to Sunday, November 26, 2023 from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Come engage with experts who would guide you through the home ownership process. The 2023 EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is more than an exhibition. It's the gateway to your dream home. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is in partnership with EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, and powered by the Planned City Extension Project from Cities and Habitats, Rent to Own, and sponsored by Elegant Homes, General Constructions Limited, where quality meets value. Global Lighting, your solution to quality lighting. Syntex Tank, Air Strong, Air Tough. Gold Key Properties, building prestige since 1997. Springfield Estates, where dreams are built. And Virtual Security, complete security solutions. DBS, your roof expert. Virtual InfoSec Africa, security solutions by design. Saint Gobain, making the world a better place. Clifton Homes, beautiful homes. Wise investments. And the Kensington Heights, Airport City Kumasi by HDG Homes Limited. Well, so today I'm speaking to one of the sponsors of this project or this program, the DBS, and I've been joined here by Kelvin Mosiah. He's General Manager of in charge of Sales and Marketing. Hi, Kelvin. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing fine yourself.
I'm good. I don't know who pegged you on this show, because you are a direct opposite of my complexion, but yeah, it's fine. This is black and white on a color TV this morning. Well, so what does your company represent, really?
Okay, thank you for having me, first and foremost, and good morning to our audience. DBS Industries, over the years, it has become synonymous with roofing, quality roofing, right? So that's what a lot of people know us for, but we also have other products, out there that I'll go into. So apart from the roofing, where we have the alu-zinc materials and the aluminium, we have these in various forms. We have the MSL, which is the modern self-lock. We have the IDT, which is the industrial deep trough. We have IBR, inverted box rib. We have Eurotiles. We have shingles. We have steel trusses as well. That's the framework that the roof sits on.
So we no longer use wood.
We no longer use wood.
Use steel.
Yes, we use steel, light gauge steel. We also have concrete products now, which is ready-mix concrete. We have building blocks. We have pavement blocks. Yes, and we have steel products as well. We have galvanized pipes, round pipes, square pipes. We have prefabricated steel structures as well. So we have a variety of materials out there.
Now you've diversified, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
I know you used to have self-cleaning roofing sheeting, and you say self-lock. What's that?
So the modern self-lock, as the name implies, the sheets interlock. So they clamp on each other. So you don't see the nails. The nails are not visible.
Okay.
Yes, most of the time when the nails are visible, over time it can create avenues for leakages and things of that sort. So with these ones, you do not see the nails, the screws that we use for it.
Okay. Any special promotion? But before we get there, what excited you about the 2023 the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair that made you decide to want to be part of it?
It's always thrilling to participate, because you meet a lot of people, you meet a lot of the big players in the industry, so you build connections. The people also, as the clients or the customers, also troop into these events. So it's also good business-wise, and it's also good for relationships and connections with other people in the other companies in the industry.
Okay. So whilst you're part of it, are there any special promotions or discount you want our clients to take advantage of?
At our stand, any individual that walks in there to purchase will be given a 10% discount voucher.
Okay.
Yes, so this is what we'll be offering them, those of them who come to the Habitat Fair, who visit the DBS Industries.
10%?
10%.
So if my entire cost is going to be 100,000, you're giving me 10,000 discount.
A whopping 10%.
For being there?
For being there.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. How long would that last?
That is, so when you're given the voucher, it's valid for a month.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. If by now I'm ready to roof, I won't roof. I'll wait for that time. I'll come to the fair and get a discount.
Yeah, a lot of them come there specifically for the 10%.
Oh, wow. And they do get it. They do get them.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So on the D-Day, what should the audience expect from DBS?
They should expect convenience. As I said earlier, we don't have just roofing sheets or steel trusses. We give you a variety of materials, so there's that convenience. You don't have to go to various places when you're building to get blocks, to get concrete. You come to one place, and from the ground up, we can put your building up.
Oh, so it's like a one-stop shop.
One-stop shop, exactly.
Oh, wow. That's the new DBS for you. Yes. Come by with your plan.
Yes.
And leave with a building.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Now, maybe someone is interested in contacting you.
Okay.
You leave your contact details, where you are, where someone can locate you.
Yes, so we have branches dotted all over the country. We are at Spintex, next to Papaye. Okay. We have a branch at Sapeman as well. We have a branch in Takrade.
Yeah.
Tamale.
So Takrade is at before Kojo Chrome.
Yes.
Just after the Zen filling station, some 300 meters from there. On your right, when you're heading towards Kojo Chrome, that's where DBS is. Yeah. So you pay me for the service. I've rendered. Yeah.
No problem. We are in Suhuniyi as well.
Okay.
Kumasi, Tamale, Shai Hill. So we have branches dotted all around the country. And you can reach us on 0240 84 44 44. 0240 84 44 44. We also have a toll-free number, which is 0800 62 62 62. 0800 62 62 62. In Kumasi, you can reach us on 050 600 4141. 050 600 4141. In Takrady, you can reach us on 050 600 4242. 050 600 4242.
Okay. Yeah. Any final words for our audience?
Oh, yes. I will urge the audience to come in their numbers. As we said, we'll be giving out 10% discount vouchers to all those who visit our stand at the Joy Habitat Fair. And yes, just come to us, let's do business and have peace of mind.
Okay, so for those of you who are into roofing, if you're a private contractor and you have some project to do this time, all you do is to go to DBS, get there. So you are getting paid for the work you're doing and you're getting discount from DBS. Charlie, double do for you. Let's meet on, from the 23rd to the 26th of December. So you can talk to DBS and get that particular discount. Thank you, Kelvin, for coming through. Well, this is the AM show. We're talking to our sponsors for the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. Up next, do stay with us. We'll take a quick break and then we can continue. Get ready for you to join us here on the show by calling us. The numbers will be scrolling so that we can share a thought together. Stay with us. But just before, water is life, and Awake is premium purified water treated through a strict purification process to ensure that every bottle on the market refreshes you better. We have the perfect sizes for all purposes: 330 ml and 500 ml bottles to fit your pocket and bags, 750 ml for the heavy drinkers, and 1.5 liters for those who always want more. Our 19-liter jar bottles are ideal for homes and offices. All you must do now is to drink Awake purified drinking water wherever you go. Choose a bottle of Awake purified drinking water today and get quality hydration. Awake purified drinking water, we always say, is one for life. So when you buy any bottle of Awake, an amount is donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center, which is used to pay for the bills of some of the people who can't afford the services there. Another quality service, from these people. And that's a product by Casapreco Company Limited. For bulk purchase, please call 0262 351251. 0262 351251. This advert is FDA approved. Please stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. All right, so welcome back to the show. Now, concluding part of the show. It's that time point you have to call us and be part of the discussion we'll be having here. So we've spoken to people who really know about the economy. It's time for you also to get your voices heard. Call us now and let's hear from you what you do make of the budget, what you do expect of the budget tomorrow. The lines are on your television sets now, on the screen. Call us and let's hear from you. 0302211691. 0302211691. Call us and have your say. What is your expectation of the budget to be presented by the finance minister tomorrow? You've heard the experts say we don't expect new taxes or increment in taxes. What is it that you expect as well? Some have said we want to see more investment into the real sector of the economy, the production sector, the productive sector, to generate the growth that we're all looking for. You've heard there people say government should stop spending on some of its initiatives because they are not yielding the dividend that we expect them to yield. What do you expect of the budget tomorrow as well? Call us and be part of this. So probably you also have your own expectations of the budget tomorrow. I would want to hear from you and what you do make of the budget that is to be presented by the finance minister tomorrow. 0302 211691. Year in, year out, we've had budget presented. Yet there's little really to show for. We've heard that the economy is rebounding. Like I read to you earlier on the show, I mean, there's been some indication of some successes, but is that all that we can show? Sheriff is joining us from WA. Sheriff, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. What's your thought?
Good morning. How?
I'm blessed, Sheriff.
Okay. The way things are, we don't expect much from the finance minister because every year it's always been like that. Okay. They come with budgets. At the end of the day, Ghanaians don't benefit. And some of the taxes that they impose on us, especially the COVID levy,
okay,
we don't see the importance of it. And we have a lot of problems, especially the dialysis problems. We have rules, we have infrastructure problems, everything.
Okay.
But nothing is happening. And tomorrow budget, I don't see it I don't see the way forward because the finance minister is help us. And what I also expecting is that they should try and remove some of the taxes so that price of food stuff can go down. Today, to get food to eat a day is a problem. So we are struggling, and we are appealing to the government and the finance minister to do something to remove some of the taxes.
Okay.
So that the layman can also survive. It's not easy for us. It's not easy. It's not easy for us. It's not easy.
Okay. All right. So if you hear that they are keeping the COVID levy, but probably rechanneling it into, say, taking the cost of dialysis, will you be happy with that?
Yes, I will be happy. And even the health insurance. Today, my brother, as I'm telling you, if you go to, yes, I will be happy if you go to the hospital. It's cash and carry. The health insurance is not working. Everything is, today if your wife is pregnant, you panic because you can't pay. Everything is all about cash and carry. Health insurance is no more working. If they can channel the COVID levy to the dialysis or to the health insurance so that they can revise the health insurance so that it can help us. Everything is all about cash. And the system is no good.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us here. So that's his thought on the budget and what he expects to hear about the budget tomorrow when the finance minister presents it to Parliament. What is your own expectation of the budget presentation tomorrow? Call us now and let's have your viewpoint. 0302211691. Wherever you're calling us from, kindly call and let's hear from you. When you call us, listen to yourself on the phone, not on the television set. Lower the volume on the television set and let's talk. 0302211691. If you look at the economy, where Nashiru is also joining us from Boko. Nashiru, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us, Nashiru. Let's hear you.
Thank you. Please, my name is Nashiru. I'm coming from Boko. And please, okay. This is not this finance minister is going to talk tomorrow. I think if he considers some of the taxes and then also, some of the e-levy and then the COVID-19. The COVID-19 is not even more in Ghana again, so he will try and then grab that one so that we'll have some.
Okay. So you want the minister to scrap the COVID levy from the tax
yes,
bill?
Because
okay.
As we speak now, I think the COVID-19 is no more in Ghana again.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm grateful for joining us. So Nasir wants the COVID levy to be taken off. Let's see whether the finance minister will do that or not. But what is your own viewpoint and expectations about the budget presentation tomorrow? 0302211691. Call us and let's hear from you. So we are told the economy, once we went into this agreement with the IMF or this arrangement with the IMF, is rebounding. Today, we understand the GDP growth rate is hovering around 3.2%. Let's go on to the phone lines again and pick our friend from Manette. Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for joining us. Let's hear you, sir.
I've been following these issues all the time, especially on your platform. And when you talk of this budget that they are coming to present tomorrow, we are hoping that they will make policies that will help the ordinary Ghanaians, especially mini businessmen like some of us who were into small importations that we have been kicked out for some years because dollar rate has risen to some extent that you cannot even buy things again. For instance, let's say I was using 50,000 Ghana cedi for my business, and dollar was by then 5 cedi there. And now it is 10 cedi and above. The money has reduced to 25,000 Ghana cedi, which you cannot do as much as you used to do. So we are praying and hoping that they will put policies and measures that will allow people to go back to businesses. And when they say management, it doesn't mean you are coming to do the businesses or go to the farm to do the farming. But there are some policies that you can put in place that will regulate everyone, then it will smoothen the system and people will be able to survive in it. So we are hoping for better and feasible policies to be read to be practiced tomorrow.
Okay, all right. So that's his expectations of the budget tomorrow. What are yours as well? Or what is yours? 0302211691. Call us and share with us your expectations of the budget tomorrow. What do you make, or what do you make of whatever has gone on so far, and what do you wish the finance minister will do in the budget tomorrow? Some people are calling for the scrapping off of the COVID levy. What is your take as well? 0302211691. Call us and let's have your thought, your perspective, your expectation of the budget tomorrow. This is all the AM show, and you have the right to make your point known. The president is watching. This is where he watches. The finance minister is watching. The vice president is watching. They're all watching us. So what you say, they hear. Barnabas is joining us from Bolga. Barnabas, good morning. Hello, Barnabas. Hello, Barnabas, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining us, sir. Let's hear you.
Yeah, but good morning, sir. Yeah, I'm calling from Borokazade. Yeah, my point here is about I'm rather hoping that the finance minister can help. If the finance minister can help, say something concerning about the youth unemployed. Yes.
Okay. So Barnabas's take is on youth unemployment.
And then also about the youth start, because we also hope it can help us.
Okay. Please, when you call us, for us to have a very smooth conversation, kindly lower the volume on the television set and listen to me on your phone. That will help us have a very smooth conversation here on the show. So when you call us, kindly turn down the volume of the television set and rather listen to the conversation on phone, so you and I can have a very smooth sailing chat between ourselves. Well, 0302-211691. The budget is about you. It affects everything that happens to the economy. So what is your expectation tomorrow? You've heard Alhassan Suhuniyi say, I expect that there will be cuts in government, in quotes, unnecessary expenditure. Because to him, every cut in those expenditure is a revenue saved for the country. So he wants to hear more of that, cuts in expenditure. What do you also think? What do you expect for the budget tomorrow? Call us now and be part of the discussion we're having here. 0302211691. Let me try and get some comment for you as well on social media. But we're expecting to get your calls here. Keep them coming through 0302-211691. But this show is live, so let me try. And George is also reaching us now. George, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Hello, George. Thank you for joining us. Let's have your viewpoint here.
Okay. Precisely. Okay. What I want the finance minister to do is I want him to watch the things we import into this country. I want him to lower the taxes on it, because mostly people go to Togo and the bordering countries to pick up stuff from there. And most of them too smuggle it because of the high tax that is on it. And for me, I think perhaps lowering the taxes and maybe this COVID tax, I think it should be aborted because of the people around the country. A lot is going on, like the badness and stuff are a lot. I feel after this budget, we should sit down with economists and know how we would go about the country, because the country is going down and it feels like most of the country belongs to the youth. But this, how should I say it? These people are, I don't want to, the older people are like taking advantage of it and forgetting tomorrow. They have kids who are coming tomorrow and other children who are behind them, because they have to sit down with economists and know how we are going to position the country so it doesn't affect and burden us with a lot of problems.
Okay.
So that's my take on that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you want them to sit down with economists to know how they will not burden the Ghanaians for too much. Okay, so that team, thank you very much for joining us. You can also call on 0302211691. On our post on social media, we're asking if you had the chance to ask President Akufo-Addo one question, what would it be? The hashtag is the AM show. Let's share with you some of the comments that have come in. Nyame Nihene says he should step down. Okay. Asoreba NE Calculus says, who is currently the head of the economic team? I just want to know, Mr. President. That's his question. Adobia Ofebia says, when was the last time you, Joy FM, attended this so-called hashtag meet the press? Such a classical, okay. I'll add the other one. Boache Ansa James says, was this the promise you, Mr. President, were promising us? Indeed, there's total hardship in the country. We are suffering. Oh, so the question that, the post that is asking the president if he was the one who did it is a tweet from the past. He says, Many of you have lost trust in politicians because of broken promises. But I want you to give me the opportunity to serve you differently. Okay. So that's what Boachansa is referring to. Melissa Kwanzaa says, where the hell is the 2 Ghana cedi notes? Okay. That's his question as well. Okay. Jojo Bola says, Joy FM. Okay. Joy FM, what have asked him? Okay, so I'm sure he wants to say, Joy FM, what have you asked him yourself? Okay, we've asked a lot of questions through his ministers. Nab Kaiser says, I'll ask him, where is the money? Grace Inanko says, no question. Okay. Negus Hasty says, how much is $1 today? That's the question you ask him. Emmanuel Okulu says, Mr. President, why are you? Okay, let's move on. Let me bring you. Okay, so Felix is our last caller. He's joining us here. Felix, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm well, sir. Thanks for asking. Let me have your viewpoint, sir.
Yeah, please. My view is this budget, I don't think is going to help Ghanaians.
Okay.
Because these people plan themselves that they will push everything to Ghanaians to pay. Whatever is for them to do something about, they won't do it. The only thing is, let's increase this, let's increase this. The toll should be something that should be working.
Okay.
Put investments in this country, bring investors so that the youth can also get something doing.
Okay.
The fair education, after all, people feel the fair education is working. People still send their children to, cooperative school and pay. You see, if money is there, work is moving, the country will also grow. And if you are taxing something, people will not even complain.
Okay.
But this one, nothing is moving and still things are going on. So are you pressing the layman down so that he should be forever die?
Okay.
You see, that's what we should know. Like, we should be a Ghanaian. We shouldn't be like, oh, after this we will leave this country or this and that. It's not done that way. Okay. So let this finance minister think about the whole thing and take it like you are ruling your own house. Your house is crying. What can you do? Okay. Just bring something on board. You see, that's what I'm expecting from this man. So you should reason with this and come up with something good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for calling. Everyone who called, everyone who tested, we're grateful to you for joining us on the show. This has been the AM show, but your best game show in GH, Step Up, is back with another amazing season. This time we are stepping up with Syntex Tank. Step Up with Syntex Tank. We'll see contestants answer trivia questions to win cash prizes of 400 cedis to the sum of over 6,000 cedis weekly, and other products from our sponsors. This season, you viewing at home should watch out for the Syntex Tank question of the week. Be the first to answer correctly via WhatsApp or SMS to the number 0508 33 8888 0508 33 8888 and win incredible prizes from sponsors. The person who answers most of the weekly questions fastest gets a 65-inch Samsung television set at the end of the season. Step Up with Syntex Tank, a unique television experience. Step Up with Syntex Tank is sponsored by Bell Ice, MTN Momo, and Angel Cola. No matter your water needs, Syntex Tank has it all. Syntex Tank is first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tank is first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana. And we now introduce to you the customer specs order, which lets you order any color and size of preference. Syntex Tank gives you the longest warranty of 70 years, which no other tank gives you in Ghana. So whatever your water consumption, size of project or demand, choose Syntex Tank. We have agents nationwide. Call Syntex on 0244 335161, 0244 335161, or shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, strong, tough. Well, and that's how we wrap up the show for you today. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for allowing us into your spaces, your homes, offices, wherever. We're grateful to you. We'll meet again tomorrow. Until then, please be good. Up next is the news desk. Do stay.